industry.
All right, welcome to Uptempo. Welcome. I'm Drake Toll. That's Armstrong Sims. Somehow, one way or another, J.D. Pickell is jumping into the restream right now. So I can't even begin to I can hardly fathom what is going on right now. But we're live on Uptempo remotely. I've got a fire behind me. I don't know if JD's here right now, because currently all we've got is Armstrong, a little bit of Armstrong, and just some of JD where he's trying to come
I don't know where
you okay? That's way less Armstrong than I thought it would be. Okay, so basically what we got going on today is we have a remote setup where we're all going live from basically our respective bedrooms. So to give you an update on myself, obviously the snow in Waco has been insane right now. There's so much to cover in sports and Baylor sports from across the weekend that we missed yesterday, and a lot to cover the rest of this week. But really what's been going on is the fact that here, I don't even know what Armstrong, what's going on there. What's been going on in Baylor athletics and across the country has really been trumped by the fact that it has snowed absolute cats and dogs, if that's still a thing. And Waco itself has gotten somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 or so inches of snow, some places 4 to 8 inches. And so in battling that, JD has not had power at all. He has also been a little bit under the weather, if that kind of puts 2 and 2 together for you guys there. And not only that, you've got Armstrong too, whose bandwidth went out. My Wi-Fi went out yesterday, but somehow or another, we're live. We are doing this live, and we're doing our best right now actually to get JD back in here. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about today to break down. I don't know if we'll get the full 3 hours in because, folks, this thing is really it is an interesting setup today. We're going to do our very best. I know everything's kind of disheveled, but we're working with what we got right now. Today we're talking Baylor men's basketball. They returned this weekend at home against Oklahoma State. Cade Cunningham and the Cowboys coming to town into Waco. How about the women's basketball team too? How about a win against UT, but not just a win, a drowning, a suffocating 60-35. They only allowed 35 points. That was on Sunday in the Farrell Center. Outside of that, we're going to hear from Michael Woodson later on in this show. He spoke to media on Sunday evening at 11:30 o'clock. Because Michael Woodson and the Baylor men's tennis team, remember, we here at Uptempo, we're big tennis fans. Michael Woodson is somebody, I wish I had my tennis balls that he gave us, but they're in the studio and that thing snowed in. But Michael Woodson is going to join the show. He took his Bears to the ITA Indoor National Championship on this past Sunday, and Baylor competed against North Carolina, falling 4-1, but they were close. It was tight in the end. But the Baylor Bears fell in a tight fashion in Champaign, Illinois, in the ITA National Championship for the indoor men's tennis team. The women's tennis team picked up a win 6-1 this past weekend. They're ranked top 25 in the country right now. The track team, all right, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it. Casey Lightfoot jumping 6 meters. Did you guys know Casey Lightfoot is now one of just 25 people in the history of the entire world who have jumped 6 meters in pole vault. Casey Lightfoot broke his own collegiate record this past weekend, and a lot else going on across not just Baylor sports, but sports in general. So I'm pulling it up here. We got SicEm Pick'em today. And it wasn't great for JD or myself yesterday. We tried to pump things out. And like I said, it's bandwidth, internet issues that have hindered us from actually going live and being able to have a show. But today we're doing what we can to be able to put Uptempo out there in the home studio. You got the fireplace going in the background, a little bit of Kim Mulkey, Dr. Pepper action. I was signed Joe Montana. That's somewhere back here. But Armstrong's here. JD's here. We can't see him, we can't hear him yet, but we're breaking things down in Baylor athletics across college basketball. Last night, we're talking Monday night, where Washington State was upset at home, and Monday night where Virginia, 20-point deficit at halftime last night against Florida State. It was my lock of the day, Virginia plus 1.5, and it didn't happen yesterday. They lost to Florida State 81-60. But we'll break down some more SicEm Pick'em stuff today. Also, along with that, breaking down, again, games today across the Big 12 and the rest of the country. So we've got Iowa State at Oklahoma State tonight, and then TCU at Texas Tech has been postponed. So the one game that we will get, OSU at home against Iowa State, we'll talk about that. Morgan Uber is scheduled to join the show later on today. We'll also be joined by a friend of mine, Cameron. All right. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but Barstool, the big Barstool Sports that does sports and whatnot, they had a video of a Baylor student ice skating. All right. Ice skating across McLean Stadium. We've got that guy coming on the show today. He will be on. He should be on. Cameron should be on with us around 12:30. And then Grayson Grundaver. If everything works like it should work today, Grayson Grundaver is going to join the show as well and be on later to talk recruiting. We're going to do the big board, as we call it, and have Grayson Grundaver on the show. But everything's remote today. Everything's remote, obviously. I myself am sitting in my bedroom on 3rd Street. I don't know if I'm supposed to get my address out. It's my bedroom on 3rd Street in a makeshift studio, doing the best that I can to pump out up tempo. J.D. Pickell, like we talked about, the guy has not had power. The guy is out of power. 36 hours or so now where J.D. has not had power. And let's see. J.D., can you hear me okay?
Drake, try me now.
Oh, there's two.
Can you hear me at all?
JD, there's 2 of you. And neither of you have audio. I can't. Wait a second. Maybe you do. Talk to me, J.D.
Can you hear me?
Oh my goodness! Holy cow! We did it! We did it! Can you hear me?
I can only barely hear you. I feel like I'm reporting live from Siberian Russia. My laptop's at 26%. Power's going in and out. But gosh dang it, we love up tempo. We love our fans.
Oh my goodness! Find me a brick wall, baby. JD.
I hope this works. I hope this works.
From a U-boat. All right, JD. I already mentioned there in that whatever intro that was, we found a way. We found a way to go live today. We're doing things that I have never seen before. This is something that is just interesting. Armstrong's with. Oh, we lost JD. Armstrong's with us too here, and I don't even know that we have his video or audio, but JD's trying to get back in. Again, he's really in a German U-boat today. JD lost power for 36 hours, and along with that, his computer won't charge. So like he just said, he's at 26% on his computer. And then on top of that, even worse is that he doesn't have any heat. No heat, and so his house is freezing. He's been sick as of late. And not only that, you got to add in the fact that there's no Wi-Fi or really cell service. I don't know if you guys that are local that are watching have dealt with this, but since that storm surge hit, it has been so tough for people to be able to get power. And so one of the things that JD's battling with, the same that I'm battling with, Armstrong, we'll bring you back in here. Armstrong, can you hear me?
I can definitely hear you. I can't see you at all. You're completely frozen, but I can hear you.
Well, that's okay. Hopefully I'm not frozen for the folks at home. But Armstrong, I was told, too, that you also don't have connection.
I have absolutely no Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi is completely broken. I'm currently on my hotspot from my phone. So, not very reliable.
Are we back?
It's me. You're back, man.
Let's
Welcome
go.
to Tempo. The Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den looks a little bit different today for all of us. It is it's a remote show. JD, the typical coffee cup's gone.
Well, that's not good.
Your coffee cup. Where's your
Oh,
coffee
my coffee cup. So I traded that in for some heavier stuff.
Oh,
Still waterborne. No, it's good. This is Outlift pre-workout. It's NCAA approved. It's good. I don't know how long this connection is going to last, but it will be caffeine packed for sure.
I love it. Armstrong, update us on your situation. So obviously the snow is all over the road right now, and everybody's really just packed into Waco as it sits. And look at this guy. It's cordless, right, JD?
Cordless, yeah. It's just getting shaved up. I'm trying to look like you guys.
Oh, yeah. Armstrong's actually just letting it go. Armstrong, walk me through kind of what the last couple of days have been like for you since the storm, since the snow.
Haven't been able to drive at all since, I don't know, Saturday night.
The Burb.
But yesterday, my internet, the Burb might be able to make it, which is my car, but I just haven't risked it. The last couple of days have been, no internet, but I do have power. very close to Baylor's campus where I live, so I think that may be saving me, quite honestly, as far as the power goes. We may miss the rolling black when they pass over us, but been out and about a little bit, just trying to enjoy the snow on campus. Kind of insane, looks insane, like another world. It looks like you're going. My only experience with snow is when you're going skiing and you walk through the town, like Aspen or whatever, and it looks like that walking around the campus. It's unbelievable. But people in the streets on their wakeboards, being dragged by trucks and stuff, and people on card tables being dragged behind trucks, and saw a guy in a sofa being dragged down the street. So good college stuff,
Wow, I saw you yesterday. I waved at you and I said, "Hey Armstrong, it's Drake from work." I feel like I embarrassed you in front of all your friends. How was that?
No, it was great. That was great. No, we were just playing some spike ball in the snow. You gotta have it.
Snow spike ball. JD, how about you? Obviously, like we talked about a second ago, like 36 hours now ish without power.
Yes, powers. I think they're doing rolling power outages. So like 2 hours at a time, we'll have power. Make some food. It's been quite literally a quarantine. So we're just making the most of it and just sort of hunkering down as best we can.
I don't know if it's a HIPAA or a HERPA violation, but you have been sick, I understand.
Have been sick. I don't know about any of those violations, but yes, have been sick. Have been refined to my quarters, but only a few more days, and happy that we can somehow, against all odds, make this happen. This is unbelievable.
Well, Armstrong, I don't know. I think you froze there for a second, but Armstrong, look at that. Armstrong, before I unpause you, I don't know. I'll figure that out. Can you hear me still?
I can still hear you.
Okay. The date on Friday night. I know the folks at home, before you pop off, want to know exactly how that went and if there is if there's a sequel.
Yeah, it did go well. I'll spare you the details, but it did go well. There is a sequel. So
there's a sequel.
For the concern from the fans.
I'm
glad the fans are so invested.
What did you guys do? Can you give away at least that? Because JD had a lot of good ideas for you.
We both did. There was
JD Well, JD had the idea of the drive-through roulette, and that I kind of ran with that. So we did a spin-off of that. But again, I'll spare you the details.
Okay. You can spare me the details, although it is good to know that you did the drive-through roulette. I'm excited about that. And I'm glad that you guys had a good time. That a second date's brewing. Armstrong, thanks for joining Up Tempo today.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for the concern from the fans. I know they really care about that,
I know.
I'm just glad.
Oh my goodness!
I will say we jumped about 4 people when Armstrong's date became a topic in terms of our viewership. We went from 15 to 19. So
we did. We jumped it quick. All right, JD. So I got you. We're back here. We got the dual screen. We're doing things a little bit different today. Obviously, I got the fire in the background. We're breaking things down across college athletics today. And really, where I want to start is Baylor men's basketball returns this Saturday against Oklahoma State. We saw a wacky weekend in sports. It was a really weird weekend in college basketball, and then really across the country. There was a ton of cancellations. The softball team was supposed to kick their season off, and they couldn't due to weather conditions. And obviously, the weather's throwing everybody for a loop right now. But I think the one positive in all of this is that the snow should be gone. The COVID should be plowed through, pun intended, when it comes Saturday for Baylor men's basketball to take on Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, and we're kind of going to get the matchup that we wanted to see the first time around, right? We saw a Cade Cunningham-less Oklahoma State team just get absolutely taken to the woodshed by Baylor. And we're really going to learn a lot about this Baylor program and how they can operate after having so much time off. We've seen program after program just have a lackluster showing after so much rest from COVID. So I think we're really going to learn a lot about this Baylor team and how well prepared they've been over the quarantine, I guess, more or less.
And I think you make a really good point. It's these teams are coming back. So Texas comes back from COVID stint, and they look, I think lackluster is the perfect word to put it there. UT didn't look right when it came to really their game against Baylor and then moving forward past that. For Baylor, it becomes a question of, okay, do the Bears respond similar to how they did when they had their first run or their second run with COVID? Or is this a response similar to Texas where things kind of floundered for a second? I think you got to look at, too, is Michigan. Michigan has that COVID. They have 3 weeks they shut down every facility due to COVID-19. They come back in their first game back from that COVID break. They're down to Wisconsin by 12 or 15 in the first half, and they come back and then beat a top 25 team on the road. Michigan looked good in closing out a win, again, against a ranked team where they're not at home. And for Baylor, I don't know. I'm perplexed. How does this team respond when now you've done it 3 times, when now you've gone through this motion 3 times?
I mean, you would hope. I mean, third time's a charm, right? I mean, they haven't lost the game yet. Obviously, Coach Drew's got them doing it right, but this kind of break, I think, is going to be the longest break that this team's had, especially due to COVID. So I think they're probably the most well-prepared for this one, being their third time having to take time off because of COVID. But, I mean, if anyone's going to get a team ready to play, it's going to be Scott Drew. Scott Drew's got this team ready to play, in my opinion, but we're going to see physically how long it takes their body to get caught up with their mind, because the physical part of the game will be the biggest tell. Mentally, they're going to be sharp. They've been watching film. They're going to be prepped on Oklahoma State. But physically, will those legs hold up? How long does it take for the shot to come back? All those things are what I'm going to have a pulse on after about the first half of the game.
I like it. I also think that the senior-laden roster is going to help a ton. Obviously, these guys have never been through COVID prior to this season. You can't take a guy who's a senior like, well, he's old, so he's been through this before. It's new for everybody. But having that kind of leadership in the locker room, did you know Baylor is older than the entire Bulls roster?
That's unbelievable. That is hilarious.
That Baylor, on average, is older than an NBA program. What does that speak to? Does that speak to Scott Drew and his ability to recruit, and especially recruit the transfers, or does it speak to consistency? What does that say when your team's that old?
I think you hit it on the head. Scott Drew, as the head coach of this team, has done more than just build a good team. He's built a great culture within the program. He is effectively the CEO, and he attracts guys that want to stay around for more than just 1 year. We said it earlier. We were talking about Dylan Hunter and his commitment. Scott Drew attracts guys that aren't just one and done. He attracts guys that want to come here, win games year after year, and leave with a Big 12 championship ring on their finger, and that's the goal. And so I think that's been enormous to have a coach that can attract guys that will stay around for a while. And I think that's the big thing we've been talking about with this Baylor team, why we think they can make such a deep run in March. I mean, they have so much depth on their roster, so that's going to serve them, I think, really well coming back from COVID right now.
I like it. I agree with you. I think the senior ladenness, the fact that Scott Drew has put something together here really on his back. You think about Baylor prior to Scott Drew, the scandal in the early 2000s, the rebuild, the one tournament appearance from like the 60s on. And Scott Drew walked in a tough situation. I don't think you can say enough about what he's done so far. Flipping the script before we go to a break here, too. The women's side, the Baylor women, I don't know if you saw this yesterday, but in the middle Stanford and Oregon game, the women's game on ESPN, they released the current top 16 of the country for women's basketball and the current seeds for different teams. Baylor came in as the number 10 seed in the nation out of those 16. And I want to know what your thoughts are, because I personally thought it was highway robbery.
Yeah, I think that's hilarious. Baylor, seed them whatever you want. They're not going to lose the rest of the regular season, that's for sure. And I don't anticipate them losing until at least the Final Four, where they'll have probably a little more competition. But, I mean, this Baylor women's team is, if you're going to name 9 teams better than Baylor, I would be highly surprised if any of those could go to battle with Baylor in a one-on-one situation. I don't think Baylor's going to lose the rest of the way, period, but I don't think they're going to have problems until the Final Four. I think that's, like you said, highway robbery at its finest.
I think the one thing that really is pushing Baylor back right now on the women's basketball side is the loss to Iowa State. Obviously, the loss to Iowa State's not great. No loss. I mean, it's tough to make a loss look good, but Iowa State is continually beating Baylor by losing games they shouldn't lose. They just lost to Oklahoma. So it's the fact that I think what's really tanking Baylor in the rankings is that, yes, they're hot right now. They're playing well. They just beat Texas right before the rankings came out, 60-35. They held the team to 35 points, and Melissa Smith was unbelievable. But the fact that Iowa State keeps losing to teams, it just shows, okay, well, is Baylor really that good if they lost to Iowa State, even though they beat them again? I think Iowa State is beating Baylor every time they play by losing right now.
No, I think you said it perfectly. And I think context has a lot to do with it too, right? I mean, I don't think people are taking into account that that was Baylor's first game back from a long COVID break. And I don't think they're giving them as much credit because they beat them again later. I think, like you said it perfectly, they're continually to beat Baylor every time that they lose a game going forward. But, I mean, the rankings are what they are, but Baylor and Kim Mulkey, they're not worried about that. They're going to be just fine. Rankings are for people like us to talk about, not for Kim Mulkey. So I think they'll be just fine going forward.
All right, so here's what we got, JD. There was tennis on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if we can do this here. Because the men's tennis team played in the national championship, the ITA Indoor National Championship, and I got to tell you, it was really neat to see even just Baylor Twitter blowing up in regards to Michael Woodson and his team being in the national title, and Baylor having that kind of brand of a team that's it's going to compete on the national level for championships. Yeah. One of the things that he mentioned in his post-game press conference, though, is the fact that, they're not done yet. What's so weird to me is that this Michael Woodson and the Baylor men's tennis team competed for a national championship in the middle of their season.
Yeah.
And so instead of just, okay, your season's done, you competed for a national title, now you got to go right back over and compete. Like, they play again this Saturday. So that's one thing that's really perplexed me, is the fact that they can do – that Michael Woodson and company can do that and then be expected to play the rest of their season slate coming right off of a national championship and, an ad hoc national championship appearance. What did you get to watch of that? And obviously we're big Michael Woodson fans here. I think that just speaks to how well he's really put this team on his back from a coaching standpoint the last couple months after a lot of turnover.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can't say enough good things about this program, given everything they had to go through with COVID, being able to have this season with Michael Woodson's first time being the head coach for real. But yeah, I mean, deal, right? I mean, it's weird that you have to go turn around and play some matches right after. They had a good showing. They won a couple sets. They lost to a good program in North Carolina, but they're going to be just fine. I'm interested to see how this all works. I'm still very much learning how tennis works. I know they have like an outdoor season too. So this team's going to continue to gather momentum, continue to do better. And, I think just the fact that Baylor tennis is on, like you said, to see Baylor Twitter blow up about tennis speaks volumes to what Michael Woods has done with this program, speaks volumes to the state of Baylor tennis. And as a whole, I think Baylor should be very excited about the way that this program's headed.
All right, so here's what we got. We've got about a 4-minute clip right here of Michael Woodson after the Baylor men's tennis team competed in the ITA Indoor National Championship in Champaign, Illinois. I'm Drake Toll. That's J.D. Pickell. Somehow, JD, we are live on Uptempo from remote locations, and we'll be live for the next couple hours with you guys. But this right here from Michael Woodson following their loss 4-1 in North Carolina on Sunday in Champaign in the ITA Indoor National Championship.
Coach, obviously not the outcome you guys wanted, but today under you leading the program, Baylor men's tennis competed for a national championship. What does that mean to you, and how proud are you of this team?
I'm extremely proud of these guys. I don't even know where to begin. It's just an unbelievable group of young men that just believe in each other so much and love each other so much that it's tough. It's tough to take a loss like this, but for us, it's just another opportunity to compete. This year is about playing with each other and developing towards something special in April and May. And, to be able to have these type of opportunities in a global pandemic, we're super thankful for. So credit to the ITA and the University of Illinois for putting on a heck of an event. It wasn't what we wanted today, but I think we learned a lot and we'll be ready for the future. Very, very impressive tournament from the guys.
Yeah, how much does this experience help you, going into April and May, maybe even going into March, just what this team has been through?
It helps us so much. There a week and a half ago, we didn't even think we were coming to this tournament, that they weren't going to allow us to play. And so for us to be able to come here and have the results that we did and gain this experience is just invaluable for the guys. We're learning more and more. We've played almost every top team in the country at this point. And so we've learned a lot, and I think we're ready to get back to the practice courts and do what we love to do.
Yeah, Coach. So when you play a match like this with such large implications and then go right back into regular season play, what's that like to go from high stakes right back to the everyday grind?
I think for us, it's just another match, to be honest. I think it would have been nice to hoist a championship trophy, but again, it's not the NCAA tournament. It's not the Big 12 tournament. So for us, we're just testing ourselves against the best of the best. We've been thankful and talking about how thankful we are every time we get to go out on the court and play. So for us, it's just, we're going to, travel back safely, rest, recover, and hit the practice courts, hit the gym. We've got a nice little stretch here coming up where we can really get some good work in preparation for what's going to continue to be a very difficult schedule.
And then in playing in matches like this, does that just continue to prove to your guys that you'll have a legitimate shot when it comes actual NCAA tournament time?
For sure. I mean, these Tar Heels have been in this moment many times before, I think everybody kind of thinks of them as one of the oldest and most talented teams, and they're better indoors, and they play most of their season inside. So for us, I think it's great to get a look at them and to compete so closely with them. And I think next time it's going to be, it may flip the other way. So I feel like it was really good experience for our guys to play this match and see where we really are.
Yeah, Michael, going back to the last 2 days, I mean, this has been just an impressive run you guys have been on. Beating Texas, beating a good Illinois team, both 4-0. I mean, this team, has really played well. Great weekend up till today, and I guess even through today, wasn't it?
It was a great weekend. I mean, I'm so incredibly proud of these guys. They're continuing to learn and grow together and develop together. They have so much belief in themselves and each other that it's legitimately right to the end. We just all feel like we're going to win. None of these guys are going to let the other ones down in any way. And just to hear them talk about each other and see how they react to each other and love each other is really special. Just enjoying that opportunity every day to be with them.
All right, welcome back into the makeshift Pickell and Low-T Bears Den. I'm Drake Toll. That's J.D. Pickell. That was Michael Woodson following Baylor Tennis's appearance in the national championship, or Baylor Tennis appearance in that.
Right.
Okay, makes sense to me. That was Baylor, Michael Woodson after the following their win. So what I like about that, J.D., is he said, look, for us, it's not over. That's not it. It's not done. We get a chance to compete for a national championship, an NCAA national championship later on this spring. He said North Carolina's better indoors. It's good to see them once. I don't think that'll be the last time they face the Tar Heels.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talk about it all the time with all these other programs. You're better for having played North Carolina at this point in the schedule than later. I mean, like you said, they're going to have a shot at the national title again in the NCAA tournament. So they're going to be just fine. They're going to have another shot at their ultimate goal. And they're better for playing North Carolina. They put up a good showing against North Carolina, too. I think it was, 4-2, 4-1 against the number 4 ranked team in the country. That's not half bad for this point in the season. So they're going to be just fine. They're going to get another shot at it. Their ultimate goal is still out there.
All right, so here's what we got. I want to share this really quick, and let's see if we can get this pumped out to the folks at home, JD. I think we're going to be able to watch it, both of us together. I think this is going to work right here. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video. And I want to get your thoughts on it, because this happened yesterday. So Auburn hired Gus Malzahn as their new head football coach, right, which I love, okay? I think that hire is maybe my favorite this offseason. Gus Malzahn's an Arkansas guy, Springdale High School. I'm partial to that. But I've always really liked – he reminds me a lot of Mark Richt. I like Mark Richt. And then you have Malzahn goes to Arkansas State. He's an Arkansas offensive coordinator. He just bleeds the state, But for me, I think the hire at UCF, especially this late in the game, is awesome, not just for him, but for the university. They lost their athletic director. They lost Josh Heupel, their head coach. But now I think this is the very best way to pick up the pieces. You hire Gus Malzahn, who's the guy's been in a national championship. He's won a national championship as an OC. And I want to get, before I play this clip, I want to get your thoughts on that hire.
I mean, I tweeted it out, Drake, and you retweeted me, so thanks for that. But I absolutely love this hire. I think it makes sense for both. First of all, for Gus Malzahn, you're going to Orlando, Florida. You're taking over a program that already has history winning, already has pieces in place to win now. what more could you want if you're Gus Malzahn? Honestly, I love this for him. And then in terms of what it means for UCF, you're getting a great name in terms of what your fan base is going to want. So you're already have that box checked. And then you have a guy that has an offense that's like it's proven to work wherever he's been. He's won a conference championship at literally every single one of his stops. And so I think it makes tremendous sense. They're going to be go, kind of similar to the Baylor of old. They're going to run that power spread attack. They're going to try and run at you and then hit you deep over the top. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see what they do against some of the talent in the American Conference with Cincinnati, who's been great as of the years late, and see if UCF can get back to being that national title contender, for lack of a better term.
So here's what we got. This came from the press conference the other day where Gus Malzahn was introduced as the head coach of the Central Florida Knights. And a beat reporter at UCF asks this question. Hopefully we can hear this.
Stoltzfus, West 2 here. You've dealt with fanatic fans, obviously, at Auburn, but do you have a good grasp of the pressure cooker you're walking into here?
You know, I love. Do I? I mean, I love expectations. I mean, I'm a dreamer. I mean, I want our players to dream. I want our fans to dream.
Stoltzfus, West 2.
Okay. Shout out to Gus Malzahn for his response, because it was a weird response that I'm a dreamer. He gave the I'm a dreamer. I want our fans to dream. But what else do you say? What an awful question.
Yeah, the pressure cooker of UCF after he just came from arguably the most scrutinized head coaching position in all of sports. Forget college football. All of sports, the Auburn head coaching position is so tough because you're expected to be Alabama year after year. Nick Saban is running the show over there. So, what a ridiculous question. Like, UCF is a harder job than Auburn, because it's definitely not. I mean, but yeah, like you said, credit to Gus Malzahn for his response. I would have taken a step further and quoted the great, is it John Mayer that sings that song? What is it from Dinner for Schmucks? You could say no, it's not John Mayer. You could say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not. Anyone?
I'm trying to think. Can you give me more lyrics?
Well, see, the full lyric is, you could say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. And then for Schmucks, he goes, yeah, you know what they say? You could say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not.
Okay, I'm trying to think. Maybe it's Kansas. I think Kansas is the band. I'll give you that. I'm
not sure what it is.
I rate Gus Malzahn's response like a 7.5. How do you respond to that? I know I'm probably giving Gus a hard time here, but just like, hey, Gus, hey, wait a second, JD, I'm getting a phone call. JD, I've got a phone call here, and I know we're on the air, but I got to take it. 1 second, Steve, can you hear me? Caller, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you.
I'm not gonna lie, I can't hear you because all I have is FaceTime. My stream is frozen. But I'm going to keep calling you back.
Okay. Well, Steven, can you hear me?
I'm up tempo.
I can hear you, Drake, and I need to tell y'all what song that is before we start.
What song is it, Steven?
It's that song Imagine by John Lennon.
Oh,
that's that
Imagine All the People. You may say that I'm a dreamer.
Yes, that's the song. You can say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I mean, he can cut half the lyric off of it if he wants, but that is that song.
Wow. Well, the call just cut, JD, but I know I think you can hear me now. Basically what Stephen Virginia just called on the Impact Health Labs caller line via my cell phone. I don't really know. That was out of the blue, but Stephen from Virginia wanted to let us know that it's Imagine by John Lennon that you were singing.
Oh, okay. I said John Mayer. Shame on me.
Yeah. John Lennon. We got that figured out. So Gus Malzahn says that they're dreamers and that he wants his fans to be dreamers. But what a bad question that, hey, coach, this is a toxic environment you're coming to. Welcome.
See, I think he could have answered it better if he didn't say dreamer, right? Like, dreamer makes it sound like there's something unrealistic about what they're expecting. Like, yeah, hey, shoot for the stars, shoot for, all these national championships, Heisman trophies, but we're not going to do that. But, I'm here in Orlando, so I like that. Like, I think dreamer was probably the buzzword you don't want to use when you take on a new head coaching job. Probably not the best form there. I would have said, yeah, I like us to aim high, to be high achievers. We're going to do all we can here at UCF to bring home, bowl victories and give our players a chance to go pro. But Dreamers just makes it sound like everyone has unrealistic expectations.
What's worse, the question or the response?
I think the question. Like, he comes from Auburn. The guy's been all over the country. He's won national titles, and you're like, hey, you know what we do here at UCF? This is going to be a hard coaching job for you. You ready? He's like, dude, I've been in the SEC. Like, give me a break. I went down to get this job.
Yeah, one can only hope that, and I don't think that someone that's hired at Baylor in the future never gets a question like, what a stupid thing to, like, why? Why is that your question? Like, coach, it's going to really suck trying to coach here because the fans are insane. What do you think about that? Like, that's your question for Gus Malzahn? You just as a beat writer, too. Like, I get it. That's a question maybe a fan would ask, just some crazy fan. But as a beat writer, you can't help but be excited when a guy like that walks into a program. Ton of personality. You get to cover a guy like that, and your first question is like, hey, it's going to suck to be here. Hope you're ready for that, coach. Man.
Up Gus Malzahn, like, who is this guy? Joe Mike passed to him in the press conference for the first time. Can't wait to tell Gus Malzahn how hard it's going to be to win at UCF, who already has the best recruiting class probably in the American behind Cincinnati.
I think maybe the best part is he takes it's the microphone thing where the guy beside him. Some press conferences, they walk the mic over, but in this scenario, it's like the reporter beside him had just asked a question, and he was like, I'll hold it for you, and just hands the microphone into his face. And let's watch it again. I want to watch it again. This is actually, before we do that, we won't, because there's something else that I wanted to show you and pull up today. Casey Lightfoot. Did you see Casey Lightfoot did it again? For the third time this season, he broke his own collegiate record by jumping 6 meters in Lubbock at the Texas Tech Invitational. Lightfoot does it again.
He's a freak. Like, he's actually a freak. He is the most dominant Baylor athlete that nobody knows. He's starting to get some recognition now with SportsCenter. I know they got verified on Instagram, so thank goodness for that. Let's get him verified on Twitter next. That's probably the next step for his stardom, but he is actually unbelievable, and I'm to Garner now because it's well deserved.
Absolutely. This right here, Casey Lightfoot. His 6-meter jump on SportsCenter. They covered this. Let's go. Let's watch this.
Friday and Saturday, got to review some of the great stuff that happened. Casey Lightfoot from Baylor breaks his own collegiate record. That's a new one. First collegiate ever up and over 6 meters. That's 19.8 1/2 inches. Stud. Friday and Saturday.
The backflip to end it. Casey Lightfoot's an absolute animal.
Dude, the backflip was so athletic to break 6 meters on the pole vault, then on a pad. What do you even call that? The pad? What do you even call that he jumped off of?
I don't know. I will leave that up to you. I think is it the pad that you jump off of or on? Okay,
sorry, jumped onto the landing pad.
That's fine with me.
All I'm saying is, he had like no firm base to jump off of, which makes the backflip that much more impressive to me. Like, he had no real support to get a good lift off, and he still did a full backflip after breaking 6 meters. That's free.
Let's do, how about this right here, too? We got the video of him going 6 meters. This is the raw, uncut footage from Baylor track that they put out yesterday after he jumped. Let's see if we can get, here we go. Every brick wall. Find me every brick wall in Waco and let me run through it.
He's a manimal. He is absolutely unbelievable.
Dude jumped 6 meters. First collegiate athlete to ever do it. 25 people in the world, in the history of everything that's ever happened, ever, have done that. 25 people. What person? He is in such an elite club now, and he's a college kid. He's 20, 21, walking to classes in the snow today, probably outside on a back of a truck in a couch. Just sliding along, enjoying his day, snow day as a college kid. Guy's going to be an Olympian. He's going to be a gold medalist.
we got some flack when we first had him on and said he's the best in the world, or we talked about the first record he broke after breaking the collegiate record, and we got some comments saying like, hey, you guys clearly don't know track and field. He still is ranking here in the world. He's not quite up to par. Well, now you just saw him jump 6 meters. So tell us now how we don't know about track and field, how Casey Lightfoot's not going to be a lock for the Olympic team and this, that, and the other. I think he just dropped the mic with that.
We are track and field connoisseurs. I think we lost you, JD. I got JD pulled up here on a separate screen. You may have to log back in with that link right there that, I don't know, his computer may have died. Remember, he doesn't have power. He's going on 36 hours without power. When we get him back, we're going to break down outside of Casey Lightfoot. We're going to break down the SicEm Pick'em today. And there's kind of sparse, JD. The picks today, yesterday was kind of the same way. COVID's really taking its toll now, maybe more than at any other point this season on teams. I got you back here now. Perfect. Now, maybe more than any other time when it comes to postponements. I know we've seen a lot across this year, but it feels like now almost everybody in the country has dealt with it, and it's like a second wave of folks that are dealing with it again. That is COVID in college basketball.
Yeah, it's the first breakout that kind of puts you down, and the second breakout that's really messing with these teams and their late push to get into their tournament. So hopefully it doesn't affect the NCAA tournament. I know we talked about that a little bit last week, but I mean, it really is the same cards that everyone's being dealt right now. Nobody's safe from this thing.
So what I want to do, JD, is I want to go ahead and start with you and your SicEm Pick'em today. Did you have anything yesterday that you really liked, and what are your thoughts on today's games?
You know, I didn't really have anything that I liked yesterday. I would have to take a look at today's slate yet again. Nothing that I'm in love with just because COVID has thrown such a wrench, and I'm not even sure who's healthy or who's coming back from what. But, yeah, I mean, nothing that I took a play on yesterday. Over the weekend was pretty good. I really started doing the halftime plays. Louisiana Tech, you know who looked good was Ole Miss. Schuler's an absolute animal. He had a big game. Who else did we like this weekend? Drake has kind of fallen off in terms of what they were doing covering the spread. They've kind of been lackluster.
Right, but okay, I think they've only lost 2 against the spread, maybe 3 right now. What is killing me with Drake is that I bet moneyline LIU on Sunday because Drake lost by 30 to LIU at home on Saturday, and one could only assume if a team's going to lose by 30. The next day, they're probably not going to win the flipping game. And guess what they did? They took LIU to overtime, and Drake won. They're going to stay near the top of the rankings in their conference. So you're right. Drake has kind of dropped off for us. But at the same time, really, it could be a lot worse for those guys. They're kind of throwing me for a loop. I'll tell you what really killed me this weekend was actually yesterday between Washington and Washington State. I was so high on Washington State after they won at Washington by 15 a couple weeks ago. And then they lost yesterday at home to arguably the worst team in not just the Pac-12, but maybe the Power 5.
Yeah, it's really so hard to predict doubleheaders, right? I think it was Radford and Winthrop. I think Winthrop took Radford to the woodshed the first night, and the second night Radford won the whole thing. So, I mean, it's I don't know how to treat those exactly because some teams are great in the doubleheader, some teams are atrocious in the doubleheader, and I really don't know how to call it. And I'm just looking through these games today, Drake. Postponement after postponement. St. Louis is 16-point favorites against LaSalle. You know who's bad right now? Michigan State. And they're only 5.5-point dogs on the road at Purdue. Do you like that at all?
Purdue hasn't been as good as I wanted them to be. I have taken Purdue a couple of times, and it's bitten me so far this season. So tonight, Michigan State is scary. I like Purdue on a money line. Michigan State is scary when you bet against them from a spread standpoint. So I'm going to go ahead and go Purdue money line tonight. But I don't know about 5.5. Purdue just lost at Minnesota. They lost at Maryland. They're decent at home. Most Big Ten teams tend to do much better at home. And they're doing that this season. But look at the Northwestern game, something I point to. They beat Northwestern by 5 at home. Again, they're 5.5-point favorites against Michigan State. I think Michigan State's better than Northwestern. Northwestern's not very good at basketball. So I would struggle to say that Purdue will win it by 6 points tonight. But I think Purdue on a money line is a solid bet, even against a Michigan State team that's won 2 out of the last 3.
Speaking of money line, Florida at Arkansas, your hometown team. Woo Pig Suey. They've been great lately for me. They beat Kentucky. That was big for both of us. 4.5 at home. again, they're favored by 4.5. I kind of like the Razorbacks tonight with those points. I'm not going to lie to you. Florida's been pretty inconsistent this year. They're coming off a loss against South Carolina. Granted, they beat West Virginia, but they haven't played since February 3rd. I like Woo Pig here, Drake.
Go with the Hogs tonight. I like that pick. I don't think it's bad by any means whatsoever, but at the same time, I think taking the spread right there is tough. Arkansas plays well. They play well at home, but what you got to know is their history against Florida is very spotty. They've been known to lose to Florida when they're not supposed to, and they sometimes beat Florida, obviously, when they're not supposed to. So I like Arkansas at home on a money line. I agree, but minus 4.5 is going to be really tough for me. Arkansas does like to play fast, though. They like to score as well. So take a look right here. We're going to go to GameCast. Arkansas has a 64% chance to win tonight. Let's look at what I'm looking at right now is that 151 number, and that is the 151 being the over-under right there. What do you think about the over-under 151? Look at some of these for Florida. That right there at 165 at West Virginia. These road games for Florida have high scores. Home games for Arkansas. Low scoring game against Mississippi State. Low scoring game against Ole Miss compared to that over-under. On the road against Oklahoma State, we're going high scoring, high scoring, high scoring. Those are road contests, though. What do you think about 151? Because that's a large number.
Drake, I'm absolutely trash at picking over-unders, as you well know. With my Baylor, Kansas pick earlier this year, I went under. It was far over that. I try to stay off over-unders, to be honest with you. If I had to pick a side in here, I'd go over. I think you're going to have a great point. Road games for them have been overs for the most part, have been high scoring at least. I can't say for sure it's been overs, but I mean, as a whole, I think I like to just pick sides here because I just don't know who's going to have a good shooting night, who's going to be playing defense that night. Like, it just depends on so much that I have a tough time getting a handle on.
Outside of Arkansas and Florida, let's look at a couple of these games. I really liked the game yesterday between Stephen F. Austin at New Orleans, and I just completely dropped the ball on it. It was terrible. I had such a bad. Outside of that, though, Akron by 16 against Northern Illinois. That's a 1 o'clock game right there. I like that pick a lot. Also, looking through some of these other ones, Jackson State, Texas Southern. Oh, look at this. Flipping, you're kidding. That's moved. Texas Southern now 2-point favorites at Jackson State. What do you notice right here? Both of these teams have won. Texas Southern's won 5 straight. Jackson State has won 6 straight. Do you like anything here?
You know, to be honest, I don't know trends with either of these teams, so I'm not huge on either of them. They both won 5 straight, like you said, so it'd be hard to pick a side here. 2 feels reasonable to me. The Power Index has Texas Southern winning, being 46% underdogs. So I mean, whatever that's worth.
I like Jackson State on the road here. Also, you are so right. When we got into this game, you told me, you said Vegas knows something, and you are not lying. Vegas does know something.
I hate it. I don't know what they know. I don't know how they know it. Like, there's no way they're studying this that much closely than everybody else that's picking the games. The smart money is going on Texas Southern right now.
Right. Also, Iowa State at Oklahoma State, 11-point favorites for OSU. They're at home. It's a dangerous one. When I look at this game, I see that Oklahoma State in their last 5, in their last 3. They're 2-2. They lost at Kansas by a dozen. At home, they only beat Kansas State by 7. I think Iowa State is better than Kansas State right now. Iowa State played really well at TCU. Obviously, Iowa State, they've dropped 10 straight. Oklahoma State's going to win this game. But I don't know. I like Iowa State. I like Iowa State at plus 11 tonight.
It's just so hard to cover 11. 11's sort of a lot, right? But Oklahoma State with Cade Cunningham, if they catch a good night shooting. See, these are the numbers where they're just big enough for me to think, I don't know, I'll cover that. And so I fade my better judgment. It worked out recently. I kicked myself when I saw Gonzaga was, I think, like 17-point favorites, and I didn't take it, and then it won the game by 50 against San Francisco. So I think I'll probably take the 11 tonight. I like that enough. I like that enough with Cade Cunningham and the way they've been able to perform offensively at different times. So they're streaky, but I like Oklahoma State.
JD, I know you've got a lot of connectivity issues right now, and you've been without power for 36 hours, and your computer's running down. What percent are you on for your computer?
Dude, we're at a solid 3%. But we're somehow finding a way to get this done. So if I cut out, just know I'll always love you.
This guy giving us all the up-tempo today. So we'll round out this SicEm Pick'em here really quick. I like UConn on a money line tonight. Missouri -3.5 is very dangerous. They've lost their last 2 games. Missouri lost at Ole Miss by 21. I think Ole Miss and Georgia are comparable. They lost to Arkansas at home in overtime by 5. I think Georgia tonight on a money line is not an unreasonable bet. Missouri's reeling a little bit after those 2 losses. Outside of that, Nebraska at Maryland. If you're offered the money line, I like Maryland tonight. Nebraska is really bad at basketball. Austin Peay at Southeast Missouri State is one of my top 3 locks today. I like Austin Peay -6.5 at Southeast Missouri State. Tulsa and Temple, stay away from it. Dangerous game. Temple beat Tulsa earlier this year. I don't like that game. I think Purdue on a money line is a pretty safe bet tonight. Dayton at Rhode Island. That is my upset lock of the day. Dayton goes on the road today. Money line, 3-point dogs, and knocks off Rhode Island in Rhode Island. Outside of that, there's a couple other on here. St. John's at home against Xavier. I love St. John's right now. I've been really high on them. I think St. John's wins this one tonight. What you got to look at, trends in that one. Xavier has played 1 game since January 30th. That was on the 13th. They lost to UConn by 8 at home. Now they're on a road against the St. John's team that was red hot recently. They lost at Butler, but that's okay. I like St. John's tonight on a money line. Actually, 1.5 favorites. I just take that straight up. And then outside of that, Illinois at home, -12.5 against Northwestern. I like a lot. And JD, yeah, go ahead and spit out your last couple before we lose you here.
I would say the only thing I disagree with there is Missouri. I saw them play against, was it Ole Miss or Arkansas this past weekend, and they were pretty scrappy towards the end. I think they're probably still going to be able to bounce back against a team like Georgia, who just got thrown against. It was 13 points, and they got taken in the woodshed a little bit. But I think from a trends perspective, not a ton that I like out here. I like your Dayton pick on the road against Rhode Island. I think that's a great upset if you're going to pick one. I even like Maryland, honestly, with the 10 points. Nebraska is, like you said, pretty bad at basketball. They're going to have to wait till football season again to see if Scott Frost can get them going. But basketball, not their thing. Maryland's going to win that game by more than 10. And those are my 2 locks, I would say.
I like it. All right, J.D. Pickell in the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. It's a pleasure having you on today. Stay warm. I know that you've been sick. Can you tell the folks? Is that a violation to tell the folks kind of where you are from a health standpoint?
I don't think so. I mean, if it makes anybody feel better, I feel fine right now. Tested positive for a certain virus, but all things considered, we're kicking. We're all good. Life is good.
Life is good. Power's out. Warm at all? Are you just wearing a bunch of layers?
We're layered up. We got a couple blankets on the bed, and we're just making it happen, man. Where there's a will, there's a way. We're a blue-collar operation, as you know, and we're just making it happen the up-tempo way.
We are a blue-collar operation. I don't think you could have put that very much better today on up-tempo with how we're rocking on the show. Man, yeah, thanks for coming on and everything that you're dealing with right now from a health standpoint. No power, no internet. You're still kicking it. You're rocking it.
Hey, man, just following your lead.
Hey, I feel like we're so distant. I haven't seen you in so long because the remote for the past week. But I miss you, man, and I'll see you soon.
Hey, man, always a pleasure. I love you. I'm excited to watch the rest of this thing.
Yeah, love you, bro. I'll catch you later. All right, that was J.D. Pickell. We shared a moment right there. It was J.D. Pickell in the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den, or what is left of it. All right, the rest of the show today, Morgan Uber is going to join us at 12:05 to break down some of the men's basketball actions going on across the country and in the Big 12. She's a Big 12 digital correspondent that joins us every Monday. And you say, Drake, today's not Monday. Why is Morgan Uber coming on? Well, I'll tell you why Morgan Uber's coming on, because we didn't have a show yesterday. What we missed yesterday was breaking down some of the men's tennis action from Sunday. We also missed breaking down women's basketball against Texas. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the show. We're going to hear from Kim Mulkey as well. She spoke to media after beating Vic Schaefer and UT in the Farrell Center on Sunday evening. 65-30 was the final in that one. And then not only that, we'll be joined by Cameron. All right, I want to show you guys this video. I got a screen share going on right now with my Twitter feed. And I'm going to see if this works. Because Barstool Sports, all right, let's see right here. Barstool Sports has 2.7 million followers on Twitter. That's just a couple more than I do, all right? And Barstool Sports has posted a video at McLean Stadium. This guy right here, Cameron Madrid, Barstool Sports, this thing has been viewed 178,000 times, 174,000 times, I'm sorry. Check this thing out. Cameron Madrid, ice skating at McLean Stadium. Of course, this thing goes viral, blown up on Barstool. Cameron. I mean, the dude's absolutely getting it. Awesome. Awesome. We'd be remiss if we didn't have Cameron join the show. He's going to come on at 12:30, break down exactly how that all took place. I'll tell you, it's been kind of crazy. I know we talked a little bit about weather phenomena here and there on the show today, but Waco has been just under a foot of snow and ice, basically. Underneath about 8 inches of snow, 6 to 8 inches in some places. You got an inch or so of ice, really dangerous road conditions today in town with the fact that everything was so packed in. It was so compact. And then on top of that, you had a refreeze last night. It did not get above, I think, 19, 20 degrees yesterday. A wind chill, I think they said it was somewhere in the neighborhood of -15, -17 when you got the real feel in Waco yesterday. So like I said, we try to break things down and do a show remotely. I had everything set up right here. JD was set up, Armstrong was set up. We wake up yesterday morning following the snow and ice on Sunday evening into the morning on Monday, and nothing. No power for most people. Everybody around here has really been reeling from a power standpoint. Grande Communications, shout out to those guys. They've got basically outages from an internet standpoint all across the state. Armstrong, being a Grande user, has been out of service and is out of service today as well. So I also don't foresee, for those of you that are local, for those of you that are abroad, I do not see Baylor going back to class at all this week, or us being able to utilize the studio until I think Friday, the earliest right now. And then Monday, next Monday, we'll be good to go, ready to rock back. At the same time, though, you're dealing with a lot of weather issues right now that are keeping us from being in the actual Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. And not only that, we've got we're battling a lot of different stuff from a connectivity and hardware standpoint, trying to keep the show rolling today. But we're live with you right now. We're keeping things going. And Morgan Uber is going to join us at 12:05, and she will have updates from across the country and across the Big 12 in sports. And I will say, it's been kind of crazy to see the students that have gone out in the last few days. You cannot drive down the street in Waco without seeing 6 or 7 or 8 or 12 people that have tied ropes around trucks, and they're sliding through the streets of Waco through the snow. People sledding over at the dam yesterday, people sledding through the streets of Waco. It's honestly surreal, and Armstrong talked about that earlier. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to run through. So Michael Woodson, we talked about. Men's tennis competing in the national championship. That took place on Sunday, the ITA Indoor National Championship, not the NCAA National Championship, falling to North Carolina 4-1. It was a tight match. I don't know if you guys got to watch it, but if you did, you saw Baylor give a really strong fight, especially in the end against North Carolina team that is top-notch. They will be one of the top seeds going into the actual NCAA tournament, and Baylor gave them an absolute run for their money on Sunday, as expected. Your Bears went through Texas, swept them 4-0 on Friday. They faced Illinois on Saturday at Champaign, so they were on the home court of the Fighting Illini, and Baylor won that one, swept it 4-0 going into that Sunday match. And really put Baylor men's tennis even more so on the map than it already is. And we've got video from Coach Michael Woodson, who again joined media on Sunday, broke things down from that match, and talked about how his team is going to fight to compete again later on this season for a national championship in the NCAA and the outdoor. Said that North Carolina is better indoors, and that if his Baylor Bears can catch them outdoors, that it could be a very different story, and that his squad, obviously, in his very first season, facing a lot of adversity, will have a shot to win a national championship in the outdoor. This, again, from Michael Woodson on Sunday.
Coach, obviously not the outcome you guys wanted, but today, under you leading the program, Baylor men's tennis competed for a national championship. What does that mean to you, and how proud are you of this team?
I'm extremely proud of these guys. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to begin. It's just an unbelievable group of young men that just believe in each other so much and love each other so much that it's tough. It's tough to take a loss like this, but for us, it's just another opportunity to compete. This year is about playing with each other and developing towards something special in April and May. And, to be able to have these type of opportunities in a global pandemic, we're super thankful for. So credit to the ITA and the University of Illinois for putting on a heck of an event. It wasn't what we wanted today, but I think we learned a lot and we'll be ready for the future. Very, very impressive tournament from the guys.
Yeah, how much does this experience help you, going into April and May, maybe even going into March, just what this team has been through?
It helps us so much. A week and a half ago, we didn't even think we were coming to this tournament, that they weren't going to allow us to play. And so for us to be able to come here and have the results that we did and gain this experience is just invaluable for the guys. We're learning more and more. We've played almost every top team in the country at this point. And so we've learned a lot. And I think we're ready to get back to the practice courts and, do what we love to do.
Yeah, Coach. So when you play a match like this with such large implications and then go right back into regular season play, what's that like to go from high stakes right back to the everyday grind?
I think for us, it's just another match, to be honest. I think it would have been nice to hoist a championship trophy, but again, it's not the NCAA tournament. It's not the Big 12 tournament. So for us, we're just testing ourselves against the best of the best. We've been thankful and talking about how thankful we are every time we get to go out on the court and play. So for us, it's just, we're going to, travel back safely, rest, recover, and hit the practice courts, hit the gym. We've got a nice little stretch here coming up where we can really get some good work in preparation for what's going to continue to be a very difficult schedule.
And then in playing in matches like this, does that just continue to prove to your guys that you'll have a legitimate shot when it comes actual NCAA tournament time?
For sure. I mean, these Tar Heels have been in this moment many times before, I think everybody kind of thinks of them as one of the oldest and most talented teams, and they're better indoors, and they play most of their season inside. So for us, I think it's great to get a look at them and to compete so closely with them. And I think next time it's going to be, it may flip the other way. So I feel like it was really good experience for our guys to play this match and see where we really are.
Yeah, Michael, going back to the last 2 days, I mean, this has been just an impressive run you guys have been on. Beating Texas, beating a good Illinois team, both 4-0. I mean, this team, has really played well. Great weekend up till today, and I guess even through today, wasn't it?
It was a great weekend. I mean, I'm so incredibly proud of these guys. They're continuing to learn and grow together and develop together. They have so much belief in themselves and each other that it's legitimately right to the end. We just all feel like we're going to win. None of these guys are going to let the other ones down in any way. And just to hear them talk about each other and see how they react to each other and love each other is really special. Just enjoying that opportunity every day to be with them.
All right, welcome back into the makeshift Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den today. We are joined now by Morgan Uber, Big 12 digital correspondent. Morgan, I cannot begin to explain to you what up-tempo has looked like today with the amount of snow and everything in Waco and the fact that none of us can access the studio or really internet service. I've got a pineapple and an antenna in my living room that I'm off of right now. But we found a way. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, my goodness. I heard JD was without power. So, I mean, for him to be on and, make it through as far as he did, I was tuning in earlier. So good work getting this show back up today. Great to be with y'all, and certainly loving the virtual fire going on behind you, Drake, making me feel warm. We still do have power, though, luckily where I am, but trying to conceive for all the fellow Texans that are without it. So our thermostat right now is set at about 64. So I feel like I can't complain because I know people have it much worse than I do, but it's certainly freezing cold here in Dallas, Texas today.
Oh my goodness, it's been a lot. honestly, somebody tweeted that, just a once-in-a-lifetime weather phenomenon. And I think it's 6 or 7 times we've heard once in a lifetime over the last year or year and a half that things keep happening. But here we are. We're making it work today, and glad to have you on to break down some Big 12 men's basketball, a little bit of women's basketball later on as well. So let's start with tonight, Morgan, before we even backtrack into this past weekend with the one game that's going on in Big 12 play. And I know we try to avoid as much as we can cancellations and talking about kind of what COVID has done, just because that puts a downer on a lot of things. But does it feel like, honestly, going into tonight, that a lot more teams are starting to hit that kind of second wave of COVID complications, and that's almost hindering the conference more so?
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought right now our biggest challenge getting games in is a winter storm in the southern regions. But, I think it's great to have Big 12 basketball back on today. It feels like it's been, honestly, an eternity since Saturday's games. Usually, I have my Monday nights, Big Monday, have the Bachelor going on as well. So going back and forth on the TV. So it was kind of weird last night not having any basketball to look forward to. But Iowa State, Oklahoma State today, 3 p.m. on Big 12 now. So thank goodness we've got some basketball back. And, I know there's going to be a few more games postponed throughout this week, certainly with the weather. But, I really hope on Saturday, it's been a long time since we've been able to say that there could potentially be 5 Big 12 matchups. And that's what we have to look forward to on Saturday, I think, with the potential of Baylor finally being able to return and come out of COVID protocols.
Exciting it is to have basketball back on Saturday here in Waco, and Cade Cunningham coming to town with Oklahoma State. Hopefully we're a little bit more dry by then, and not just a foot under when it comes to snow. So backtracking, though, where I really want to start with Saturday, Oklahoma at West Virginia, number 12 Oklahoma, 14 West Virginia, double overtime game in Morgantown where Austin Reeves absolutely took over. Does it feel like Oklahoma is back to where they were a couple weeks ago when they were just unstoppable?
I mean, yeah, the Sooners, they have 5 top 15 wins on the season. They've been absolutely incredible, back at the number 9 spot in the country right now. I think, for me, that potentially was the Big 12 game of the year. Kind of crazy to think that, it wasn't Baylor wasn't involved in what could be the Big 12 game of the year. But as we know, the Bears have just been dominating teams, so really no close games there. But, I think West Virginia and Oklahoma, for me, when I looked at that preview of that game, I thought these are 2 of the most evenly matched teams in the entire conference, and that's kind of the way that the game played out. Tied at halftime, tied at the end of regulation, obviously, to go into the first and then a second overtime. I think the Sooners they're surging, and we've certainly seen that. Umoja Gibson having another big day. It just seems like West Virginia's perimeter defense has had no answer for him in both games. Just absolutely outstanding. The biggest thing for Oklahoma, they just have so much secondary scoring. It's not just one guy on the team. Of course, point guard Austin Reeves typically, leads the team in scoring, but there's also Davion Harmon. There's Elijah Harkless, who's really emerged. Brady Manick is finally coming back and getting right after coming down with COVID. And I would even say, though, he's taken on a completely different role since he's come back from COVID, with a defensive role. And I think that's what's honestly making this team so strong, is everyone's just doing their part. They're playing their roles, and they have a really good thing going. So I think it's, they were picked 6th in the preseason poll. Here they are right now at number 2 in the Big 12, just behind Baylor. It's outstanding what Lon Kruger has done. And definitely, I think that was a big win for the Sooners.
This Oklahoma team reminds me a lot of that South Carolina squad that put together a Cinderella Final Four run a couple of years back with Sindarius Thornwell. And that drives me to ask you, what is the ceiling for Oklahoma this season? Does it feel like they can make a deep run in March, or are they missing one key piece to do so?
Well, I heard yesterday ESPN analyst Fran Fraschilla mention that Oklahoma is a dark horse Final Four team, and I'm not going to argue with him. It's pretty amazing, though, to think that, a team picked 6th in the preseason poll could potentially make it to the Final Four. But, I know Fran watches more Big 12 basketball than anyone. And certainly, from what I've seen of the Sooners, I do think they're a dangerous team. And it's because of the development of their bench. It's not just their 5 starters, but Alondis Williams, I think, too, getting him back back from COVID. He came off the bench. They're a team that's just starting to get hot and get healthy at the right time, heading down the stretch here of Big 12 play. So if they can certainly carry this momentum throughout the rest of the Big 12 play through the tournament and then, into the NCAA tournament, I think really the sky's the limit for them. And crazy to think that, we could be seeing them in the Final Four and potentially in a national championship. Certainly would have to beat a lot of great teams to get there, but I think the Sooners are capable of it.
Along with that, the West Virginia squad that has been a little bit more inconsistent in their last few. 7-4 right now in the Big 12. They saw themselves at number 2 in the conference for a second. Now 3 straight wins. They look really, really good. They won at Texas Tech by 11. You felt like this win against Oklahoma going into a possible Baylor match would jolt this squad, and then they lose at home. Does that speak more to Oklahoma, do you think, or West Virginia right now?
Well, I think, watching that game, West Virginia had so many chances, I think, to win. And, what really had been sort of the Achilles heel for the Sooners, I thought, was offensive rebounding. And that's, one of the Mountaineers' greatest strengths. They lead the Big 12 in offensive rebounding, second chance opportunities, the team collectively, but they also have forward Derek Culver leading the entire Big 12 in rebounding. I think the Mountaineers, they're just playing some complementary basketball. Right, they have Derek Culver inside, who is coming off a career-high game, looked phenomenal on Saturday. Still, it's shocking to me that they lost that game, but they also have, some really talented guards. And heading into that Oklahoma game, they had 3 different guards lead the team in scoring over the past 3 games. Taz Sherman, Miles McBride, of course, and then Sean McNeil. So they're also number 2 in the Big 12 in 3-point field goal percentage behind Baylor. So for West Virginia, I think, again, Oklahoma, West Virginia, just 2 evenly matched teams. I remember a few weeks ago I told you I thought Texas Tech was the most improved team in the Big 12, but I really do think I have to look now more toward West Virginia to think that they've completely found this new identity after losing forward Oscar Tshiebwe beginning of January and now playing this small ball guard-driven lineup. I mean, they've just been outstanding, and we're seeing the best of it right now. And so I don't know. I hope we get to see those 2 teams meet up again, I think, in the Big 12 tournament, because, I think even though the Sooners did sweep them, it really could go either way for a third time.
Texas on Saturday, Morgan with a 15-point victory over TCU. I know they were reeling coming off of their stint with COVID-19. They're 7-4 in Big 12 play right now. They're not out of the hunt for they're not out of the hunt for that 2 spot in the conference right now. Is it now? Coming in now, I guess, a couple of weeks off of their COVID stint, is it now that Texas finds a resurgence and jumps back into the driver's seat at that 2 spot, I guess?
That was definitely the best game that we've seen from Texas. I'm not sure they're going to jump right back into the driver's seat at 2 in the conference. I think they still have a little bit of a ways to go to get there. I think, though, Shaka Smart has to be really pleased with what he saw from his bigs, right? I mean, the guards, they've been pretty consistent throughout, but, Jericho Sims, Greg Brown had some really, really outstanding performances. Sims, I mean, he put on an absolute defensive clinic in that game. Just a guy that plays his role really effectively. And as a team, as a whole, that team, they had 19 points off TCU's 15 turnovers. So they're really good. They were really good on Saturday about kind of exploiting and making the most of opportunities. I think one thing that I really look back to in that game was freshman Greg Brown, when he had, a big dunk. You think back to when they played Baylor, he ends up getting the technical after the stare down. So for him, it was a moment of maturity on a really veteran, experienced team, and a big growth moment, I thought, for him. So, I think all 11 players, and this is something that Coach Smart said after that game, it's the most engaged that they've been as an entire team. The whole, everyone from the bench to the guys out on the floor. And that's something that they were actually working on and talking about in practice. So it's clear that Texas was aware that their chemistry, their energy wasn't there. It wasn't the same as it had been before the COVID stretch. So, they're starting to get back. And I think Saturday was a really good indicator of what Texas can continue to be, and hopefully, close out the rest of the regular season here.
And then Oklahoma State and Kansas State. Oklahoma State has been they lost at TCU. They've lost at home to TCU. They've beaten Kansas, and Kansas is starting to look better now. Oklahoma State's tough to peg. Are they maybe the most volatile team in the country right now? In the conference at least?
Well, yeah, and I think, from what I heard from Coach Boynton, I love how he's treating this with his team, right? He said there's 7 games left, heading into that game last Saturday. There are 7 games left. Let's treat this as a 7-game series. Let's take it one at a time, go 1-0. And so I think they really have the right mindset. For Oklahoma State, they're still trying to build a resume for the tournament. So for them, I think they're really going to be competitive down the stretch. They really have a lot left to prove. They couldn't lose that game against Kansas State, that's for sure. After they had those 2 losses, they were swept by TCU. So that didn't help them. I think they need to win a couple games, down the stretch. They play all ranked opponents down the stretch here. So they need to get a couple wins. For Oklahoma State, though, I think the biggest challenge is we don't really know the health of Isaac Likely. He'd been battling a foot injury. He had to sit out on Saturday, and that foot injury goes all the way back to after that Baylor game in mid to late January. So that was the first time Coach Boynton had mentioned it in a press conference. Not sure exactly, how much longer he's going to continue to sit. So right now the Cowboys could be without their second best player. Of course, they have Cade Cunningham. We know what he can do. But I think Isaac Likely is that other complement that they really need to be dangerous down the stretch here.
And then Kansas State. Oh, to be a Kansas State fan right now. An 11-point loss. They were in the thick of it against Texas Tech at home. Texas, they lose by 3 at home in a game they kept tight down the stretch. And then the Oklahoma State game, a 7-point loss on the road. Kansas State is playing well. They just can't get over the hump right now. Does that speak to Bruce Weber's youth right now?
Yeah, and I think there's a lot to like about the future of the program. And honestly, just the fight that they've showed, you mentioned it, they've played a lot of these top upper echelon teams in the Big 12 tight. I mean, sure, we've seen them also, not play teams so close like the loss to Baylor, but you have to like what you've seen lately. I think this is a team, that has improved. I mean, they were able to outscore the Cowboys in the second half by 9 points. They're showing, runs in the second half and getting back into games. So I think for Kansas State, you got to like what Bruce Weber is doing, with his team, still keeping them in the fight. They still have, toughness, tenacity. They have that mentality that they can, compete with these teams right now in the Big 12. They were able to force 17 turnovers against the Cowboys, which, defensively they look pretty good. But, the threes, I think, from the perimeter really hurt them. They shot just 26%. So you got to like how close they were able to play Texas. They were able to play Texas Tech close as well. But yeah, I think it's just a rough rebuilding year sort of for Kansas State right now. And, Bruce Weber is an incredible coach, though. They're going to get right back in the thick of things here in a couple of years, potentially.
Looking forward then to this week and the games that are going on. We talked a little bit about tonight's matchup. I say tonight, it's happening in an hour, 2.5 hours right now between Iowa State and Oklahoma State. And then tomorrow, the one that I'm looking forward to this week, I don't know if there's a better matchup that you could find in the country in the slate of basketball this week with Texas and Oklahoma in Norman. UT looking for revenge after a loss at home earlier this season. That was one of those games where UT was beaten up by COVID, and they came into that one a little bit shorthanded and played OU down to the wire in Austin. And now they get to see OU again in Norman. What do you expect to see in that one? Is there any separation that points to one team having an edge right now?
This is a much different Texas team than the last time these two teams played. You have to remember the last time they faced each other, Texas was without its head coach, Shaka Smart. They were also without guard Courtney Ramey and 2 of their big guys, Jericho Sims and Brock Cunningham, due to COVID. So, we saw a huge game from Oklahoma guard Austin Reeves. I think the biggest challenge for Oklahoma, they're a team that plays small, and now having these bigger guys back for Texas, back in the lineup, it's guard Elijah Harkless is going to be asked to defend one of them. So, he's a tough defender. I don't doubt that he's going to, put up a fight and It's going to be a great game, I do think, again, but I just think it's a much different Texas team than the Sooners got the first time around. I think this is also going to be a really good measuring stick of just how far Texas has come since they had all those COVID issues. How do they match up against the number 9 team in the country, coming off a huge double overtime win against West Virginia? It was a 1-point game last time around, Red River Showdown. It's always a great rivalry. Doesn't matter what sport it is. We always love when we get to see Texas and Oklahoma. So yeah, that has to be the game of the week. Definitely looking forward to that one.
And coming into that one, with Oklahoma being at home, and obviously Austin Reeves is playing at the top of his game right now after the game in Morgantown, do you give the nod to Oklahoma being at home, or does this Texas team pick it up and get revenge?
Oof. I think the way that Oklahoma is playing right now, if they can just carry that momentum forward from Saturday, I'd give the edge to the Sooners. I really do think they're coming together. And to me, it's about looking connected and chemistry, and Oklahoma is displaying that on all cylinders. Whereas Texas, I do still think they're trying to figure some things out. But again, definitely have to like the progress that we've seen from them after coming back from COVID.
Taking it over to Kansas State, that game in Manhattan, is there any way that Kansas State finally gets over the hump?
Well, Kansas, they just got back into the top 25 after falling out. They had that NCAA record of the most consecutive weeks in the AP poll. I think Kansas is just they're too hungry right now to really make a statement and claw their way back in toward the top of the standings in the Big 12. I think after what they did in the first game against Iowa State, I mean, absolutely on offense, defense looked outstanding. I think, though, took a little bit of a step back there on Saturday, but their defense, I think, has really improved. And Coach Self pointed to that, really liking the way that his team defended. I think they've made some adjustments. They're looking more aggressive out there. They have the reigning National Defensive Player of the Year in Marcus Garrett. It's tough to say. Rivalry is a rivalry. You never know. But I think Kansas is just too determined and too hungry right now after, dropping some games earlier in the season, that they know that they can't really drop anymore to get a good seed here in the Big 12 tournament.
Morgan, past that, Texas Tech and TCU, that game is slated to take place on Thursday. It's got that TBD by it. So can you tell us, is that weather related, or is there any information? What exactly is going on for that one?
Drake, I wish I had some answers for you. I don't right now. Things are so flux, but based on the TBD, I think they're still potentially maybe working out some TV, things to figure out exactly what channel and when that game's going to be on. That would be my guess at this moment. And I think also just kind of waiting to see how things shake out with the extra weather that we're supposed to get tomorrow. Who would have thought, as if one snowstorm and ice storm wasn't bad enough, round 2. So I think things are a little bit in flux, but just kind of sitting patiently and waiting. At this point, I don't know anything more than you guys do right now.
Well, let's say that game is played, contrary to the weather and everything going on, and hopefully that TBD is just time related. TCU, they have been scrappy. They've been tough, playing teams close as well at home against Texas Tech. With a win, they could still make a case for a possible, they're not out of the question of being in the tournament. So is TCU hungry enough to go out and Jamie Dixon's squad get a win against Texas Tech?
I don't doubt it. I think they're as hungry as any team right now in this conference. Mike Miles, good to see him back out there. He was out. He had missed a game with a non-COVID related illness. So he was a little bit quiet on Saturday, had just 10 points, but hopefully can be, working up to getting back to what potential we've seen from him this season. A big key, though, I think for TCU, they've got to get some inside presence going. With Kevin Samuel, he had just 3 points on Saturday, averages 9 a game. So against Texas Tech, they're not going to just be able to solely, shoot from the perimeter. I think they're going to have to get something going down low, and it begins with Samuel for TCU. I think this is a team that certainly picked up some confidence and momentum after sweeping an Oklahoma State team. So they also took Missouri to overtime in the Big 12 SEC Challenge. Don't count TCU out of any game. I think they're definitely capable. It's crazy to think. I feel like we haven't seen Texas Tech, though, playing for forever since their game was canceled on Saturday or postponed against Baylor. So it'll be interesting to see what the time off, the extra time off, did for Texas Tech. So yeah, certainly I think TCU is going to give them a good fight.
Then turning our attention to Saturday, Baylor returns 3 p.m. against Oklahoma State in the Farrell Center. Cade Cunningham comes to town. Baylor has not seen Cade Cunningham yet, and the Bears trailed Oklahoma State in Stillwater at halftime and for really the first 30 minutes of that ball game. With the Cowboys coming to town, Baylor coming off of this COVID break, is there any expectation that you have for Saturday's game?
I just really hope, after what we've seen from around the country with teams having a bit of a drop off, that, we don't know exactly how Baylor is going to look and how they're going to be affected physically and mentally. I mean, think about, what COVID does for these players being isolated and not being able to be with their teammates. I mean, I can't imagine, what they've been going through there. So, I do think for this matchup, it's going to be really interesting. You mentioned they haven't seen Cade Cunningham yet, but the Cowboys played Baylor really well the first time around in that first half. I thought they played a solid 20 minutes of basketball. They just couldn't string together another 20 minutes of basketball there in the second half. Remembering Baylor went on that 19-1 run and just took the game over. So, again, it's going to go back to, is Isaac likely playing? Who, for Baylor had COVID and what they are like physically at this point. So a lot of questions, I think, up in the air exactly of what the Bears are going to look like. But I'm really excited to get them back on the floor. Talk about a team that we haven't seen playing for forever. Really looking forward to having them back and hoping we have 5 matchups this Saturday.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that one right there, that there's really so much still up in the air, and what can you expect? A lot of questions with what Baylor's going to look like. But I think they're in a good spot, being at home, number one, and then 2, they're not playing Texas Tech or West Virginia, Oklahoma, Texas. Oklahoma State's good, really, really good, but it could be a lot worse for the Bears coming back in their first game off the COVID break. Texas Tech and Kansas on Saturday. There are multiple good matchups. I love the Oklahoma State-Baylor game because you get to see Baylor back in action, and OSU is pretty solid too. But then Texas Tech at Kansas, West Virginia at Texas. Both of those should be huge, and they have massive implications for standings in the Big 12.
Right. Again, I think this is going to be, talk about a measuring stick, a good measuring stick, just to see how far the Jayhawks have come. For Texas Tech, one of the things that has really stuck out to me, over their stretch as of late, Marcus Santos-Silva getting into some foul trouble, and that's just really been hurting the Red Raiders. I mean, they have these incredible guards, Mac McClung, Terrence Shannon Jr., Kyler Edwards, Kevin McCullough. I mean, you can name them, but having that inside presence of Santos-Silva, it really means a lot for Texas Tech. They're not going to be able to win games, I think, without him, especially when you're going up against a David McCormick in Kansas, who has really improved, probably one of the most improved players, I would say, in the Big 12 so far this season. So I think it's Santos Silva. He's acknowledged it, needs to be a little bit more disciplined down low. And so hopefully they can really put together some complementary inside-outside basketball. Again, I have no idea which way this is going to go. I think it's going to be whoever's hungrier, but expecting a really tight game.
Last but not least, on the men's side, West Virginia at Texas. West Virginia team that, I mean, you can't say enough about the double overtime game. I mean, they just got through with an absolute battle, and we're going to see them against Texas, who is obviously no joke right now and playing pretty good basketball. What do you expect in this one?
Again, I mean, just two evenly matched teams, I think, at this point. It'll be interesting. I'm curious to see, how Texas first looks against Oklahoma, and might be able to make a little bit better of a judgment after that, just because I do think Texas is, every game they've been building and building to something. So I think, after they've come back from COVID. So eager to see, how things look for them on Wednesday. But, one thing that I will mention is head coach Bob Huggins for West Virginia talked about he needs more concentration from his team. So, exactly not sure what he meant by that, but after looking at the numbers there from the free throw line, just 52%. And, in a game that I expect to be really close, I think, they're going to have to knock down those kinds of shots. I think, again, it's going to go back to just complimentary basketball, Derek Culver and those guards coming together when you have the big guys like Texas does, the versatility, the length, athleticism, expecting another good game. I mean, we've got plenty of them to look forward to on Saturday.
Well, Morgan, broke down all the men's side you can possibly break down on the Big 12 this week. Thank you for bringing that analysis, as you always do. And before we let you go, women's side. Yesterday, the top 16 released Baylor at number 10, which we talked about earlier in the show, just didn't seem fair for Lady Bears after holding Texas to just 35 points this past weekend. And now number 10, even being number 7 in the AP poll, 3 spots back of that in the initial NCAA tournament projection rankings. Is that fair to say that Baylor belongs at 10, or should they be a little bit higher?
I'm shocked. I think they definitely are deserving of a number 2 seed. And I think, what's really, though, killing them is that loss to Iowa State. And what doesn't help them, though, also is the fact that Iowa State just has been getting kind of cold as of late. They've won 4 of their last 8. So I think, unfortunately, they're just going to have to continue playing really well, and also maybe hoping that Iowa State is able to play a little bit better. I expect them, when everything's said and done, I think these, different rankings right now, while they are something to talk about, at the end of the day, there's still, a lot of basketball left to be played in the season. I think Baylor is deserving of a number 2 seed. What we saw from them was so impressive on Saturday defensively. They're the best defensive team in the country of all the Power 5 teams. They're number 1, and holding Texas and Charlie Collier to just 2 points. I mean, that is incredible. So, I definitely was shocked when I saw that ranking.
Well, we'll hear from Kim Mulkey later on in the show about the win against Texas on Sunday. And then obviously Baylor's got plenty of basketball left to bump that ranking up, and I fully expect them to do it. Morgan Uber, Big 12 digital correspondent, thanks so much for joining us as always, even in the weird, crazy conditions we have.
Drake, stay warm over there.
I'll do my best. I got the fireplace going. Thanks again, Morgan.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Past that. Here we go. We're about to be joined by a couple of guys, 3 guys to be exact here. Joe Gowdy, Blake Steinman, Cameron Madrid. These guys featured on Barstool. We just talked about this. Barstool has a total of 2.7 million Twitter followers. They're one of the top outlets for just random stuff. And, well, a couple of Baylor guys made the Barstool page this past weekend in the snow, in the ice. Check this out, all right? I know we got video on this. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Okay, so we shared, and this right here, Barstool Sports on Twitter. This is Cameron Madrid skating down McLean Stadium. So, I mean, an inch and a half of ice right here. And Barstool Sports retweets this. The video in total on Instagram, the video on Twitter, and the video on Instagram in total has well over 500,000 views when you combine them all. And now joining us on Uptempo remotely today, we've got the 3 guys that made it happen this week. Guys, staying warm?
Yes, sir. Hey, how's it going?
Oh my goodness! Welcome on the show. Glad to have you guys. So we were talking about it earlier. We wanted to have you guys yesterday, but woke up. Nobody had power. Nobody had internet service. Our co-host today still doesn't have power, so he's been in and out of the show. And now here you guys are, just a couple of days after making it on Barstool Sports. Walk me through how that even happened.
The day? Yeah. So it started out, we were kind of like trapped inside all day. And so this guy right here, Blake,
he go,
I was like, all right, guys, let's get something going. Like, I'm tired of being stuck inside. And I mean, these two Northern boys here, two hockey boys, they're like, well, let's go find some ice somewhere. I was like, well, I don't even know how to ice skate. And they're like, all right, bet. Let's try the bridge.
Yeah.
Over Baylor.
So we got over there, and in the video, it's actually Joe skating. I started out skating the rink, and then, or I say rink, the bridge.
The rink. Yeah.
And we ended up being the same size, and so I ended up lending him my skates and taking a video. And we were like, oh, how cool would it be if we, kind of sent these to a couple places and see if they like it. Thinking, we're probably the first people in history to, actually skate that bridge. And so they ended up pretty much within an hour of saying, yeah, hey, we like your video, put this in. And the reason I guess I got the tag is they wanted who filmed it. And so, but in the video, it's actually this guy right here, so it was a good time.
Wow. So walk me through, you guys have the idea to go skating. And obviously with all of Waco being under a foot of snow and ice right now, there were plenty of places to go. Who came up with like, oh yeah, McLean Stadium, we're doing it at the bridge?
It was kind of, I think it was we were like drifting in some parking lots nearby
in the truck. Yeah.
And so we were like, let's see. I bet that bridge is probably a little bit more ice because it's, bridge.
And it's an iconic spot too. So.
Exactly. And so we got there, and ended up being thick enough, and we spent probably just, having a good time.
So on top of that, you've got the video now at, when you compile everything, like 500,000 plus views. I mean, at this point, every medium combined, it's got to be over 1 million people that have seen this video of you guys just skating at McLean Stadium. Who picked it up first? When you guys posted it, was it Baylor Barstool, or like, how did you even get to what is probably the biggest sports media outlet for this kind of stuff in the world?
What's that? You broke up a little bit. I think it was Barstool who picked it up at the very start.
Yeah,
and then,
we were not expecting it at all. We were like, yeah, why would they care? Like, little Baylor. Yeah. And then all we know is Cameron gets, I think, an email or something.
Yeah.
We want your video on there. You had to fill out a form. Whatever.
Yeah. And then Baylor football tweeted, the Dallas Stars saying, hey, when's the Winter Classic and all that. It was kind of unreal.
Yeah, it'd be awesome if we could get the Winter Classic in McLean.
So when you guys talked about, you've got one Northerner? Joe, you're from the North?
Yeah, I'm from Boston.
So you being from Boston, Blake, Cameron, you guys Texas guys?
Texas guy. I'm definitely Texas. He's a little bit more Yank.
Yeah, I spent some time up north in Minnesota, like Wyoming and Seattle playing. But yeah, Texas is my home, so a little bit of both.
Yeah, we grew up back home. We used to go out on the lakes and just play pickup pond hockey, and then I played in high school and everything too. So it was awesome to have.
Now, for you, Joe, does it feel like you're almost back home with everything that's going on right now with the weather?
Oh yeah, no, I have shorts and a t-shirt on right now, jacket.
Yeah, this man's never dressed for the weather. I mean, compared to us, we'll be bundled up, and then he'll just be out in sandals and shorts and t-shirt, and it'll be 28 degrees. He's like, "Oh, what, guys? It's fine."
Yeah, it's 55 in my apartment right now, so it feels pretty good.
Well, I guess when you need somebody to go out and skate McLean Stadium, it always helps when you got a Boston guy around. When you guys post that video, you get the Barstool email. Next thing you know, you're on Barstool social media all over the place. What were some of the reactions, not just from people outside, but from you guys? Was it just like a holy cow? I'm on big Barstool.
Yeah, yeah. We were driving back, I think, from my house, and then we get that email to fill out that form, and all we know is next thing, submit the form, and then it's up on Barstool. We're like, there's no freaking way. This is crazy.
It took off pretty quick. I think I was looking the other day at 2.7 plays or something million. Now it blew us out of the water. We weren't expecting that at all.
Yeah, it feels pretty weird to know that many strangers have watched me skate around.
That many just comments just roasting you.
Yeah.
Oh.
I got.
Well, so with your form, Joe, when you go back and watch the video, how do you rate yourself? Was that your best performance? Do you feel like you could have done better?
I definitely could have done better. I was wearing goalie skates, which are a little bit different than player skates.
God, no, Joe, what?
I know.
He wasn't even his. They're mine.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, I wish people would cut me a little more slack. I'm skating on a bridge in Texas. Like, it's not gonna be the best ice out there. So.
Wow. Well, did you guys? So one of the things that I've noticed whenever I do literally anything on social media, I'll call my parents and I'll just be super excited, like, Mom, I made it on this or that. Or what. When you did you guys call your parents and like have to walk them through the whole what even Barstool is and why this is cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, my parents probably even know what social media is, so they were confused on what was going on.
My parents don't have Facebook or any of that stuff, so
they're kind of just like, cool, honey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was some lady on the Channel 10 News, like, put it the face up. There was some lady like calling me an idiot and stuff. My mom was like, I want to make a Facebook right now. Just go on there and tell her off.
So what are some of with the comments and the reaction when your friends started to see it? I mean, I put it on my story. How could you not? A couple Baylor guys on Barstool. Everybody did. Everybody's sharing this thing. What are some of the reactions that you got from your friends or even people in comment sections?
Honestly, they kind of expect us to do stupid stuff like that all the time. That's kind of how we roll.
Yeah, they were not surprised at all.
No, not surprised, but they're surprised like it blew up that much. That there's that many that we made on the big time.
Some of my friends are just giving me a lot of crap. They're like, "Oh my gosh, can I get an autograph? Like, you're famous." Blah, blah, blah. Just like really giving it to me, but it's all good fun.
So walk me through too. So Joe, you were the skater. Cameron, you were the videographer, right?
Yeah.
Then Blake, my man Blake. Does that mean
he got the day going?
Yeah, I got the day going. I got the plans. Like, I got the truck, and we were just going around. I think before that, we had the sled going behind the truck with a rope in the Farrell Center parking lot. Yeah, had that, and then they were like, "Yeah, let's go try to skate." I was like, "Well, I'm not trying to die today, so I'll let y'all do that." So that's kind of how the day went.
That's exactly right.
Well, you go from not trying to die, and then Joe's in goalie skates, by the way, which you can't tell in the video. But now that I know that, it takes away so much from what. But for you guys we have a lot of viewers in Virginia and Florida and people that view from all over the country that really have no idea what's going on in Waco right now. And I tried to explain earlier, you drive down the street past Shorty's and there's 7 people on a couch just piled on behind a truck. Okay. Can you walk me through some of the things you guys have seen in Waco this last 48 hours?
Definitely a lot of that. I mean, we were over on campus, kind of looking around, and I mean, they've got a fountain out there. It's just iced over. A bunch of people just playing in the snow. The roads are just people just doing all that. Couches. I think I saw a water trough the other day.
The air mattresses.
Air mattresses are the best, honestly. You slide forever on those.
Yeah. But besides that, a lot of wrecks. People do not know how to drive in the snow down here.
Texas people and driving in the snow do not mix. So,
yeah, a lot of cars. Like a lot of sedans. Like we 2 people out yesterday.
Yeah.
Like one guy, he was sleeping the entire time. They were like, "Hold on, let us help you." Yeah.
So far and away, especially for you guys that have, Joe, you said you're from Boston. Cameron, you said you spent time up north. Blake's just kind of there. But when you guys look around you and you've got this whole winter wonderland in Waco, have you guys ever seen anything like this in this environment? Is it so weird to see Waco in this form?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, we had that snow day a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's nothing like this where it's been.
Where it actually sticks. Like it's not like the last snowstorm, it just kind of came and went, like kind of like that. But this is sticking, and we're supposed to get more snow tonight too. Yeah. So I'm excited. I love the snow. I love the colds. So makes me really happy camper in Waco because normally I'm dying. the 110.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jobs right now, so
Yeah, we all know nice right now, so definitely a lot of free time.
Oh my! Well, you guys are local celebrities now. Making, I mean, I can't remember the last time really that I can think that someone associated with Baylor has made Barstool in that capacity or had millions and millions of views or a viral video like this. So I got to ask you. You know, you talked about autographs. You've been signing autographs and stuff like that. What's the next shenanigan? What are you guys doing today to make it on Barstool again?
Oh, sorry, you broke up there. Yeah, we just missed the question.
What's the next shenanigan? Famous guys, viral video. What's next? How do you guys top it?
Are you gonna jump the Waco Dam on
Oh,
your
yeah.
dirt bike?
Yeah, I was ripping the dirt bike around yesterday in the snow, so might have to jump the Waco Dam.
Yeah. I think that's what's next.
All right. Well, hey,
Yeah,
I look
go
forward
for
to
it.
seeing it. And obviously, you know, you guys have made a memory that I'm sure you'll tell your kids and your grandkids about. You may have to explain it to them when that day comes. But I can't help but go back to that first question. Is it kind of surreal just thinking like when you lay your head down at night, like, yeah, I was on Barstool.
We never expected it for sure. Going from that day we didn't have anything to do, and I was like, let's go do something. To now there's almost 3 million views.
Yeah,
It is surreal.
it still is. I don't think. Yeah, but I mean, like anything, it'll be there, and then a week later, it'll be just back to normal. But we'll enjoy it while it lasts.
Well, you know, fame is fleeting, but you guys, you can do it all again with a dirt bike jump over the dam, over Lake Waco, if you will. You can float it. But guys, thanks so much for joining us today on Up Tempo. Joe Gowdy, Cameron Madrid, and Blake Steinman. Go do it again. Go pull. I mean, be safe. Obviously, pull some more stunts. Make it on Barstool again.
We'll try. We'll try.
Thank you guys for joining today, man. Great to talk to you guys.
Bye.
Again, those three guys, characters on Baylor Barstool, not just Baylor Barstool, though, Big Barstool. Check this out, this video from McLean Stadium where I think we confirmed that it's not Cameron who was actually skating. It's Joe Gowdy that's skating there, but that Cameron Madrid had the phone filming it, and that Blake Steinman had put it all together, the producer of the day. That again from Big Barstool posted this past weekend. Like I said, 3 million views, right around 3 million views coming from a viral Baylor video. All right, coming up next, we got Grayson Grundhafer joins us a little bit after 1 o'clock. We're going to break down some Baylor recruiting. Before that, though, we've got Kim Mulkey from a press conference on Sunday, breaking things down in Baylor women's basketball. The women beating Texas at home, 35 points they held the Longhorns to, win 60-35. Charlie Collier obviously really struggled due to the defensive performance by Nalissa Smith. Nalissa Smith went absolutely ballistic from a defensive standpoint, had a great offensive showing as she does as well. A couple players, Moon Urson and Queen Egbo, with double-doubles as well, and a big day for the Baylor Lady Bears as Kim Mulkey knocked off Vic Schaefer in their first meeting together as opponents in Vic Schaefer being in that Texas burnt orange. So this right here is from Kim Mulkey on Saturday, the win for the Lady Bears on top of Texas in the Farrell Center.
We put Nalissa Smith on her. Nalissa Smith was chosen preseason player of the year, and my mind hasn't changed. Nalissa plays on a team that has a lot of talented players around her, and she doesn't, score 40, 50 a night against some teams. What she does is get double-doubles for you, and she almost had a double-double tonight. And I think that as you've watched our team grow the last 2 to 3 weeks, guys, we're not about any one individual. This team is about a lot of players. You had 4 scoring double figures today. I thought our defense was outstanding, not just on Collier, but on their other players. We hit a stretch there. We couldn't score. It was not a game that you're watching on TV and go, whoo, man, that's entertaining. You got to really love basketball to watch some defensive things that were done today to stay with it. Yeah, one of the ways to beat Texas was to not give them an extra shot. Keep them off the offensive boards, and I told the guards they have to help us rebound. And I thought not only Moon being small and Queen was just a warrior. I mean, if Queen plays like that every night, just rebounding, putbacks, defending, we can take it to another level. When Queen can dominate like that, and then you can put an Alyssa on players that like a Collier. But I thought that we were not disturbed by any pressure from them. Vic likes to press in full court. I never really saw it today. So none of that, factored in. We had too many turnovers. I mean, both teams did, but it was basically a glorified scrimmage, if that's a good way to put it. You had no fans other than your own families in the gym. You had referees and national television. So I've never played in a setting like that.
Coach, this was Coach Schaefer's first year at Texas. It was the first matchup between you guys while he's at Texas. What was that exchange like after the game?
Well, the exchange was we were talking about something non-basketball related. Vic and I go back a long way. There's a mutual respect there, and there will always be, no matter who wins which game, no matter what the rivalry is. Nobody's going to create any hate between the two coaches because we've been around the game a long time. We've been humbled by this game, and we've been glorified by this game. And he's a family man. When his son had a water accident several years ago and was in critical condition, I made sure I texted or called him. And then when I got COVID, he called me when Kramer was playing baseball at LSU and went to Mississippi State and played. He and I sat in the stands. I drew up an inbounds play with him. So there's mutual respect there, and this is his first year, and Vic Schaefer was hired for a reason, and that's to win and win championships, and give him time.
And I actually had the privilege of watching this game with my family tonight. They were blown away by your jackets. They were asking me to ask you, is that custom made for you, or where can they get that?
Well, no, it's not custom made, but it sure cost a pretty penny. So if they want it, they can send me the money, and I'll be glad to send it to them. Look, it was really about K-Yow, cancer. We all are affected by cancer in our personal lives, and I got the opportunity to play for K-Yow. She was my assistant Olympic coach in 1984, and this was her game today. And I just thought it was appropriate because what I'm wearing underneath it, all of my coaches had it on, but it's short sleeve. And guys, I don't know if you've checked lately, but the weather outside is pretty chilly. So I said, I'm too old to freeze during a basketball game. So I put on this jacket, and it was appropriate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We just played team defense tonight. I think we were all over. We were helping the helper. We were guarding. And we was just everywhere. We was just very active, had our hands up, taking charges and stuff like that. So when you do that, it kind of creates an energy where you're not scoring the ball, but also they weren't scoring either. So in that situation, you just stick with what you know, and for us, that's defense.
Yeah, I've definitely made fouling a priority. I want to stay in the game as long as possible, but I also want to be aggressive and get offensive rebounds. I don't want to have to change my game to stay in the game. I want to be able to do what I do while staying out of foul trouble and altering shots. And I had to watch a lot of film with my coaches and just kind of think about what I'm doing and why I'm picking up my fouls. But I hope to continue this way and be aggressive and be able to hold the big girls and rebound with the big girls. And so that's what I was able to do tonight.
DeDe's a competitor. DeDe will do whatever is in the best interest of her team, and she's just handled the point beautifully. There were a couple times tonight I wish she would have shot it, and I told her so. She gave herself an opportunity to score 2 layups, and then she didn't take them. She overpassed, or she went under the rim on the other end. Score the ball. When you pass the foul line, DeDe, go to score the ball. But 10 assists or 3 turnovers, playing 37 and a half minutes. That's outstanding.
Yeah, Coach Smoak, I was just wondering if you could expand a little bit on Nalissa, and especially, as good as we know she is, I just feel like she may be I don't want to say underrated, but in some ways it seems like that. And I guess today what that showed to a national TV audience about how good a defensive player she is.
Well, people need to start talking about her and quit looking at stat sheets. I'm so tired of people voting for players of the year based on stats. Start looking at the champions of the league and go, what would that kid do on another team? And NaLyssa Smith is the same player she was when she was a freshman and a sophomore with the big she had to play with. She went in and won basketball games for us. This could potentially have been a very difficult year for her because all the attention would be on her. I think she's handled it beautifully, and she's just a natural double-double every night. And I think people on the larger scene, as always, they get caught up in stats and points. How about looking at a winner? How about looking at a kid that does whatever it takes to win championships? And NaLyssa Smith, she's going to have an outstanding career here, and she's going to have an outstanding pro career, and she's just gotten better and better every year. I don't know what else people want to see. How many girls can go up and catch a ball in midair and finish and contort their body the way she does? Not many. How many plays have you ever seen me do that for Cox or Kalani? You know, they can't go up there and do what she can do in the air.
And I also just wanted to ask you, you know, the top 16 reveal comes out tomorrow, and I know you always say, you know, you just kind of take it however it comes, but do you feel you guys you know, are gonna be at some point in there for a number 1 seed if you keep playing the way that you have been?
Well, I don't get to vote, Michelle. If you get to vote, I guess I can politic for it, but no. Heck, we got teams that lose that don't even drop. We got teams that lose to unranked teams and they don't even drop in the polls. So I don't, you know, I kind of sometimes laugh at that. You know, you have other teams that lose and they drop 2 and 3 points. I try, or two or three spots. I just really, I guess after 35 years of coaching, I quit investing in trying to figure all that out. The only thing I can control is my team. And I know that we're one of the top teams in the country that has the potential to win a national championship. I firmly believe that if we stay away from COVID and we stay healthy. I've watched a lot of basketball on TV this year because we can't, you know, that's all we can do, stay home and put our mask on and watch some ball games. And I've said this, there is no dominant team in women's basketball this year. There are outstanding teams, but there's no dominant team.
If you don't mind a follow-up, have you given or talked to Scott at all about the pause, about what you went through? And I know they've had it before, but any kind of back and forth between the two of you?
No, we haven't. I think I texted him maybe one day to ask honestly about a COVID rule, about a COVID test after 90 days, but it wasn't basketball. Look, I'll say it now. Scott Drew has one heck of a basketball team, and he's got a chance to win his first Big 12 championship. He's got the players. He's got the depth. He's got, you know, transfers that have experience. That matters this year, guys. That matters. And I guess if you look at it on Scott's, I guess if I were to look at it from Scott's point of view, is he's getting all the COVID out of the way. Because I think just a majority of his guys have had it. So he's getting it out of the way before the playoffs, which is contradictory to where I am. We haven't had but 3 or 4 kids that have had it. So I'm a nervous wreck from now till the playoffs because it could hit you at any time.
All right, welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Dinner. What we have of it today on Up Tempo, a different setup, quite obviously, with us being inside of, I say us, myself being inside of my own house doing a remote show. So we had Grayson Gruntafer, who is going to join the show here in just a second. What happened with Grayson is Grayson ended up losing power, as have many people across Texas, due to Winter Storm Uri. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to pull in Grayson Gruntafer. Andrew Robertson is going to join us here in just a second as well. He's going to break down some of his SicEm Pick'ems, as he does almost every day on our show, and give us his picks for this week's Up-Tempo SicEm Pick'em, or today's Up-Tempo SicEm Pick'em. Also, we've got recruiting update. Grayson Gruntafer breaking down more women's basketball. We heard earlier from head tennis coach Michael Woodson. And then again here in just, let's see, 1 second, we'll be breaking down things across college basketball tonight. All right, we're going to go ahead and hit a break here. When we come back, we're going to try to loop in Grayson Grundhafer to talk the big board and Baylor recruiting. For now, though, I'm Drake Toll in the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. That is my home today since we're going remote due to Winter Storm Uri that's come across Texas. And we'll be right back after this quick break on Uptempo.
Advisor makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult times. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI. idealmri.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your home for holiday favorites for parties and the time with family. Various specials available in-store and online. A variety of steak gift boxes with 4 ribeyes for $70, 4 bacon wrap fillets for $55, or 4 New York strips for $50. It all come with steak butter. Fall snack box for watching a game or wrapping presents or hosting people at your house, including summer sausage, split horn, and jalapeno cheese and salted crackers for only $35. 2 pieces of lobster tails with herb butter and 2 bacon wrap fillets for $60. Order online or call in advance to ensure availability, or drop by Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive. Waco Custom Marketplace has a full-service butcher shop for customized orders or cuts of your favorite steaks or beef tenderloin or specially ordered prime rib roast. Plus, what you want with pork, poultry, seafood, and more. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Uptempo on SicEm365 Radio. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122. For your company's mass COVID testing, log on to impacthealthlabs.com.
All right, we're back in what would be the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den, but instead it is my bedroom, which is today's makeshift studio with Grayson Grundhafer for the big board. Grayson, holy cow, man. So with winter weather storm Uri hits, I didn't even know they were calling it that until our last break. Apparently it's Uri. And there are people outside my window right now that are sledding on the back of trucks, that are being pulled with pull ropes through the streets right now. Things are melting for some reason, even though it's 25 degrees. It's going to refreeze and snow again tonight. I don't know what's going on, but we're going to talk recruiting in the middle of it.
Yeah, let's do it. And you look like the warmest person in Texas right now with that crackling fireplace right behind you.
You know, I honestly, I really wanted to conserve energy to help out folks across the state today. So what I'm doing is just I turned off the heater in our house. I'm telling you, it may be completely in my head, but I think this right here is keeping me warm.
Definitely a mental thing for sure. It's making me warm right now.
My goodness. I will tell you, and I'll let the viewers at home kind of into a little bit of the inside of what we're doing right now on the show. Us going live today is happening all on my computer. Everything that is seen today on the show, between guests, callers, JD and Armstrong being on earlier, is all happening solely through what internet connection I have left and my computer right here that is about to explode. It was not prepared to do this today, but we've had up tempo, and it's great to have not just to have a show, but to be able to put out content for folks that matters. And a part of that is recruiting and having you on for the big board every Tuesday. And we couldn't skip it today. So Grayson, thanks for coming on even in such weird conditions. I know you said you lost power for a second.
We've had some issues in our apartment building. I know we just had a pipe burst in one of our stairwells as well. So it's getting very interesting. I know Austin got hit pretty hard. So there's a lot of people without power. That's only happened once. So thank the Lord, we've been pretty blessed so far.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you're staying warm, staying safe. JD's been without power now for 38 hours or so, just kind of off and on here or there. And then he's been struggling with COVID, and I say struggling, I mean, he's doing well, but no power, you're sick, and no Wi-Fi internet, obviously, without power. So he's really been put through the ringer. Armstrong's kind of dealing with the same thing, but here we are doing it live. And to start with the big board, man, what are we in this weird, crazy weather phenomenon we're enjoying? What are we getting in recruiting? Any updates that are really standing out to you to start?
Yeah, so there's a huge one coming on Friday, and that's the decision of Chris Ross, who is defensive tackle out of North Shore. Right now, he does not have a rating on 247. He does not have a rating, or actually just got a rating on Rivals. I believe he's a low 4-star. I know on our side he is a 4-star as well. I believe I think we have him at a 90 or a 91 currently. So a big-time prospect. He's about 6'3", 270 pounds, give or take. And it really looks like it's going to come down between Baylor and Texas. And he set out his Final Four, which I believe also included Oklahoma and LSU, but that's kind of narrowed down a little bit. And so now where we're at is just trying to figure out, what's he going to decide? What's he going to do on Friday when he decides that he's going to make it official to one place or the other? I know Baylor's really put in the work. James Blanchard has been a huge part of his recruitment. Dennis Johnson, the defensive line coach, as well. They've played big roles, and they've gotten Baylor to this point. And so now the hope is that they can seal the deal. But this is one of the first massive decisions of the 2022 class that really impacts Baylor, and one that Baylor really has a shot at as well. And like I said, his rating is a little skewed right now. So if you look at 247, you go, why is he not ranked? Well, he's gotten majority of his offers over the past month, and 247 hasn't updated the 2022 rankings quite yet. So if you trust our rankings, he's a low 4-star right now, a guy who has an opportunity to jump up even higher depending on how he tests and things like that at camps. But yeah, very big time prospect, and one that Baylor definitely has their eye on.
Would you say too with him that he's a kind of recruit? There are those guys that when you get their commitment, it brings guys with them, that it makes a splash, and you say, okay, like a Quinn Ewers. The second that Quinn Ewers commits somewhere, there'll be other guys that turn their attention to whichever school that is. Is he a kind of guy that, okay, when he commits, you now know, all right, this recruiting class is legit, other guys are going to jump on board?
Well, you know what, Drake, it's interesting because since his recruitment is kind of fresh, to be honest, I mean, like I said, majority of his offers in the last month, I don't even think he's up to much over 10 either, even though he is a guy who could probably have 30 offers by the time it's all said and done. So he hasn't gotten that kind of recognition from the national sites. But what I can tell you is he goes to North Shore High School. And if you know anything about Texas high school football, North Shore is a powerhouse, an absolute powerhouse, and one that there are a lot of really good athletes that go to that school. And so the Houston area is definitely going to take notice of this. If you can land guys in that Houston area, North Shore, pretty consistently, you're setting yourself up for success, specifically in this class and moving forward. So, yeah, for Baylor, I think this is more about he's an absolute position of need to go along with the fact that he goes to a very prestigious high school that's produced so many really, really talented football players. And, yeah, I think he could spark some momentum for sure. And I think that if you can land one in Houston and you can land one in Dallas kind of near the same time, which I am somewhat, Baylor's hoping will happen, that could provide massive momentum in this 2022 class.
With his recruitment, too, you said it's really Baylor and Texas that he's narrowed it down to, or that it looks like he's narrowed it down to. Is there an edge for either school? Have you heard anything that makes you think, okay, maybe Texas has the edge or Baylor? What does that look like right now?
Yeah, and that's one of the toughest parts of my job, Drake. And a lot of times it's really situations like that where everyone he's got 4 crystal balls to Texas. It seems like it's a done deal. He's going to Texas. But everything I hear seems to be somewhat trending the other way. So it is early in the week and a lot can change. But I know at the beginning of this week, I felt, fairly good that I think Baylor had the edge. As the week has progressed, I'm kind of, still right in between, probably 50-50, still leaning towards Baylor a little bit though. And there's just various reasons why, but it's mainly communication with him and just kind of figuring out where his head's at. I know I'm supposed to talk to him at some point this week, hopefully today, to kind of get some more info from him. But yeah, it's going to be, it's going to be a big one. I know Baylor's still working on him. I know Texas is still working on him. So I don't even know if he's 100% decided yet. And I think that's what makes it really the toughest thing for me, is trying to figure out where head at on Friday, as opposed to right at this very. So it's going to be a big one for Baylor, and I know one that the staff definitely has their eye on, and I know Texas has their eye on him as well. And hopefully Baylor's longer term relationship with him will pay off, because they offered him, I believe, about almost 2.5 weeks before Texas did and before LSU and Oklahoma.
Grayson, shifting a little bit away from that. So I've got 6'6", 265 pounds, big lineman, offensive lineman out of Valor High School, Jake.
Oh, Mikula.
Yeah, Mikula. That's what I was
out of Valor Christian.
Yes, Jake Mikula. Walk me through his recruitment process. I was reading a little bit of the article that you posted yesterday. Again, for those that would like inside recruiting analysis, the SicEm365 forum is a perfect spot. Become a premium member of SicEm365.com, and there's so much recruiting stuff that you do that goes on the site. Walk me through his recruitment, really who he is as a player.
Yeah, so Drake, he actually came on a visit to Baylor this unfortunate weekend. So he showed up on Thursday and he flew into Fort Worth with his dad. It was just he and his dad on this trip. They went to looked at TCU a little bit just because they were forced to stay the night in Fort Worth because of the winter storm. Then they drove to Baylor that morning, spent the whole day at Baylor, got to see the stadium, got to see the business school, which right now that's what he wants to major in. Wasn't able to get a tour, so it was just he and his dad kind of walking around campuses and seeing what they liked and didn't like. And he got a great vibe from Baylor. Really liked it, thought the campus was beautiful, even when it's not looking as great as it normally does. And then, of course, he and his dad went to eat lunch at, I believe it's Billy Bob's, the burger place, kind of right down. I think it's right down U Parks, right?
Billy Bob's?
Yeah. I was looking at the menu.
Buzzard
I think
Billy?
it's a newer one. No, not Buzzard Billy. No, it's a newer one. I think it's near the new Bicycle World or Bike World.
You're name dropping Waco as a Wacoan. Maybe it's just because it's all snowed over right now. But yes, we're going to go with yes. They went to lunch and got a good burger.
Yeah, and he actually did a challenge at this place. So he ate a burger with 6 patties on it, a 36-ounce milkshake, and then, in his words, the biggest bucket of fries you could possibly imagine is what this kid ate right before he left to go to Austin. Right before his drive, that's what he ate.
What? And he did it successfully.
Oh, he did it. 29 minutes. If you do it in 30, you get it for free.
And this kid's what, 16, 17?
Yeah, but 265 pounds, probably 270 meal.
Holy cow, that is unbelievable. I haven't heard of the challenge. I couldn't even touch it. But do you think that's going to play well into his recruiting?
Yeah, I mean, he had a great time. And I know Eric Mateos, the Baylor offensive line coach, is the one that recommended it for him. And so I think, I think it was just a fun place for him to go. And he actually told me that Mateos didn't tell me anything about the challenge. He just saw it on their menu and was like, well, this sounds like a good deal because I can do it, get the meal for free, and then, still be completely full. So anyways, he was able to do the challenge. Then they drove down to Austin, which is actually where he was born. His dad went to UT for grad school, so a little bit of a connection there. They walked around UT's campus and then had dinner with some friends and then left the next morning. So that was his little Texas trip. It didn't quite go as planned, I don't think, for him. But it does seem like he's interested in coming back and seeing Baylor at a different time. They're the only school out of the 3 that he did see that has offered him. But his recruitment is only pretty much at the beginning. He already has 20 offers, but most of them are kind of group of 5 schools. He has a few Power 5, but over the past, I think, a week and a half, he's really jumped up in his recruitment. He's gotten, Arizona offer, Duke offer, so he's added some more Power 5s, and I expect that to continue. So his recruitment's far from over. That's going to be a very tough one for Baylor to land. I think that he's going to pretty much blow up and get offers from all over the country. I personally think he's another borderline 4-star type player. So Baylor's going to have to work really hard to get him. And I know Eric Mateos and Jeff Grimes have done a really, really good job at building a relationship with him. And that's why he was one of their first out-of-state offers that they've given to an offensive lineman.
So, Grayson, before we get right back into recruiting, it's just been released that Baylor will resume their normal schedule February 25th on the men's basketball side. So West Virginia, February 25th. That's rescheduled from January 12th. And February 18th. So that's been rescheduled twice now. Then Texas is still TBD, TCU, Texas Tech, and Oklahoma State in games from the Farrell Center. But we've got rescheduled, let's see, February 20th.
So Oklahoma State did get postponed, kind of like we thought.
Yes. We're looking at Oklahoma State is postponed February 20th.
Right.
So the way this says right here, the Oklahoma State and Baylor game will not take place this Saturday. Baylor men's basketball will come back on next Tuesday, February 23rd against West Virginia. So we will not see Baylor men's basketball play this Saturday against Oklahoma State and Cade Cunningham at home. They're going to reschedule that one. It's still on here to be rescheduled, but it will be in the Farrell Center February 25th. That I'm seeing Baylor returns here. That was just really February 23rd. I'm sorry, on that Tuesday is when Baylor will return coming up next week. So that was just a quick tidbit to throw in there. Again, Baylor will not play this Saturday against Oklahoma State. But back to recruiting. Julian Humphrey, highly touted corner, it seems. Julian Humphrey, 4-star guy. Just give me the rundown on him and kind of what's going on in his recruitment.
Yeah, so he released his top 12. So obviously a good spot to be if you're Baylor because you made his top 12. And he's one who has always been really interested in Baylor. And I posted in a tweet this week of his top 12, Baylor was his first offer of that group. So he's definitely taken that into account, I believe, in his recruitment, the fact that Baylor wanted him very early and has kind of just continued to build that relationship with him. So Baylor's in a good spot with him. I think he's liked Baylor a lot, and every time I talk to him, it seems like he's got just somewhat of an affinity towards Baylor. And I think it's just because of the fact that they've recruited him for for so long. It's a Texas school. He's out of Clear Lake, which is in the Houston area. So he also has that lean a little bit to A&M, I believe. They've been recruiting him hard. And I think the only tough part for Baylor at this moment is the fact that Brian Stewart, of course, the cornerbacks coach, is no longer at Baylor. So he left. So Baylor's trying to figure out who's going to come in and take his spot. And so I think until that happens, Baylor's probably on the outside looking in. They got to find another cornerbacks coach who's going to build that relationship with him. But as far as location, as far as the school and Baylor as a whole, I would say that they're in a very good spot. And Humphrey is a big, long cornerback, about 6'1", 180. Could be bigger though, honestly. When I saw him in person, I thought he looked more like he was like 6'2", 190. He's got a big frame to him, and I think he's a guy who's going to continue to grow. And he's already right around that 4-star territory. I know pretty much every rankings site has him right around a 4-star. So player, and one that I know Baylor's had also, frankly, at a position of need. Baylor definitely needs to look at the cornerback position. They're for sure going to take 2 in this class. They might even take 3, depending if they find a guy that they really like. And so, yeah, that's where things are at right now with him. He's got a lot of really good offers, and that one is going to be an absolute dogfight to the finish because, like I said, his offer list is very, very good, and it's just gotten better and better. So that's usually an indication that the kid didn't peak too early, because a lot of times you'll see a kid who had a bunch of offers going into their sophomore season, had the huge spike of offers, and then no one offers him after that. In his case, he's continuing to land offers. I know in the last month he was able to land an LSU offer as well. So his recruitment is possibly only just at the beginning, and I know a lot of schools are very interested in that cornerback.
Grayson, is there anything specific that's going to give Baylor an edge out of those 12 schools that are, they're all solid programs too? Is there one thing that stands out to you that says, okay, here's why Baylor has a real shot?
Yeah, so Drake, that has everything to do with being the first school to offer out of the list. That's just such a big deal, and the fact that Dave Aranda came in and really made him a focal point right when he got to Baylor, that's a big deal. And recruits don't take that lightly, especially when the head coach is the guy who offered, and that's who offered Julian Humphrey. So I think that's their biggest edge at the moment. I think it's hard to say anything other than that just because they don't have a cornerbacks coach at the moment. So it's going to kind of be effort. And I know Dave Aranda is a great recruiter for a head coach. He's just grinding and grinding and grinding, which you don't see a lot from head coaches. And that bodes very well in his recruitment as well. So those two things, Dave Aranda and the fact that it's Baylor, I think are currently the two things that are his biggest draw to the Bears. But like I said, that one has a long way to go, and Baylor needs to figure out their cornerback before they are really considered, in my opinion, in that recruitment.
With the cornerback coach vacancy, are you hearing anything right now on how quickly Baylor will move to make a hire there? I know it's pretty late in the game, it seems.
Yeah, it is. And I really honestly don't know how quickly they're going to try to get this done. My guess would be as quickly as possible. Because you want to have that coach recruiting right now. You want to have them on campus recruiting, helping build relationships, and also trying to just build his own relationships with the guys that Brian Stewart was recruiting previously. So the good news is I wouldn't have called Brian Stewart an ace recruiter at Baylor. Very good coach, but I wouldn't have said, oh man, he's a huge loss in recruiting terms. But there are still relationships that have to be rebuilt because, of course, when you're recruiting kids for a long time, eventually they know who you are and they know that you're the position coach. So that's really the biggest thing. I think Baylor could find a way to grade, actually, as far as recruiting goes. I don't know if they'll be able to find a coach with a similar resume as Brian Stewart, but recruiting purposes, they definitely could. And my guess would be they would definitely do it. They need to do it before spring ball, and my guess would probably be before the end of this month. I would almost guess that they do it within the next 2 weeks because I just think they're a little late to the game, so they got to figure out a way to address that position. And the thing of it is, though, they might be trying to go poach someone from another school, which makes things a little bit more interesting and may extend things a little bit as well. So we'll see. I'm sure Dave Aranda has his list ready to go, and I'm sure he's already been calling and trying to make contact with various coaches and trying to figure out who the best fit is, because at the end of the day, that's what Dave Aranda's offseason of hires has been about, finding guys who fit Baylor and fit his scheme and also just fit each other personality-wise. And I think that he's going to go out and make another very good hire, and one that could be very impactful.
Well, if there's anybody that's going to do it, it's Dave Aranda on the defensive side, the connections that he has and the pedigree that Dave Aranda has, and then he's building at Baylor. I want to ask you, too, with recruiting in 2023, Harris Sewell, I saw now just 4 or 5 hours ago that you posted this out of Odessa Permian High School, that he has gotten and offers a priority offensive lineman as well. What do you know about that situation, and is that a race that Baylor's in the thick of?
Yeah, it's very early for Harris. I mean, he's a kid who, it's kind of funny because since I follow recruiting as closely as I do, I talk to kids even before they have Baylor offers, and usually when they have a little bit of interest in Baylor, I'll usually reach out and just see what's going on in their recruitment and just trying to find out more about them. Well, he was a kid who actually has been talking to Baylor since September. That's when I reached out to him first. We talked for a while. He just mentioned what was going on during his season. He was playing guard, what his just kind of situation was like going on at Odessa. So we talked for a while, talked about Baylor, talked about his relationship with the coaches that he was able to talk to. And of course, at that time, it was Joe Wickline and Omar Hales, and neither of those guys are at Baylor anymore. So it's kind of been a readjustment a little bit. Eric Mateos and Jeff Grimes have been big parts of his recruitment. Both have had conversations with him already, which is great to see, because 2023s, it's pretty hard to get in contact with those guys because you pretty much have to do it through coaches at this point. Coaches can't call directly at the moment for 2023, that is. But Sewell's a big name. I mean, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, TCU, Baylor. I mean, they've all come calling, all offered within the last month. So he's going to be a name that's going to continue to emerge, and I think he's going to end up being one of the better offensive line prospects in the entire state. And so that's going to be an absolute war, and he might even be a national recruit, to be honest with you. His ability, his athletic ability, strength, his size, he might be a guy that, maybe LSU or Alabama just decide they want to offer him and they think that he's worth an offer. I could see it happening. I think he could end up being that good. And so that's why I'm saying it's going to be a very interesting race, especially on February 16th, heading into his junior season. He still has a ton of time left to make his decision, try to figure out what's the best place for him. I will say, and I don't know this for sure, but I had heard rumblings that he might be somewhat a TCU legacy of some kind. I know he told me he went to a game there, and that's the only school that he's visited of the schools that have offered him in the past. So something interesting to look at there. Again, I haven't confirmed much on that, but I do think he's got somewhat of a tie to TCU.
Grayson, what I want to do is backtrack just a little bit, and the update with Sewell too, as well, knowing that it's really early in his recruiting process and there's so much that could happen, like you said, so early. But past that, something more current. 2021, the transfer portal and trying to put together a couple more guys. We've talked about how the FCS is playing in the spring. That makes things so tough right now because you just don't know where a lot of those guys will land if they decide to transfer or what exactly that'll look like for them. Where is Baylor from a transfer portal standpoint? Does it look like a couple more guys may trickle in here soon? And when is that really going to close up? When the opportunity to bring in a couple more guys?
Yeah, so Drake, you're going to hate me because it's the same name I've mentioned every time on the big board, and that's Justice O out of UNLV. And I'm going to keep bringing his name up because Baylor really wants him, and I do think that Baylor's in a good spot to land him. They've been recruiting him for a while now, and he'd be a perfect fit, in my opinion, along the offensive line. Again, I think he's more of a guard, so I do think they're still going to be looking for a tackle even if they do land him. But I think they're in a good position with him, and I think that they could land him in the next. I would guess that if they were to land him, or at least he would make a decision pretty soon. He's from Richmond, Texas. Went to Richmond Foster High School, so he knows the area well. Has a bunch of starts under his belt at UNLV. 6'3", 320, so he'll bring size, production he could bring that to the Baylor offensive line. So I think he's a perfect fit. So that's that on him, and he's really the only one that they've really gone after hard at the moment. As far as other guys who they might be looking at, that's the hard part, Drake, is that it can last a long time. I mean, ideally, you have these guys in the spring so they can come in and compete and learn the playbook early and things like that, but they don't have to. I mean, they could wait till the end of the school year and not come in until the summer. I mean, that's very realistic, and it wouldn't shock me if that did happen. You mentioned the FCS being a part of that. JUCO is also a part of that. So there's a lot of things that could happen between now and summertime. So there's a lot of time to wait, and I know people don't want to be patient. People want to see what the roster is going to look like. But in this situation, since Baylor is simply looking for guys who can play right now, I mean, they're going to take their time and they're going to find the right guys that fit what they're trying to do. So outside of Justice O, right now, that is the priority. And then they're still looking and trying to evaluate talent.
Grayson, in 2022, is there anything new since we talked last 7 days ago that's really stood out to you with that class?
Yeah, so I think one thing that I do need to mention is that Baylor is putting themselves in a good position to land quite a few guys in the 2022 class who haven't quite, I guess, blown up to the extent that I think they could. But one name that I definitely want to mention, and it's going to be interesting to see how things play out, but his name's Jordan Crook out of Duncanville High School. Obviously another very prestigious for football, very, very dominant high school football team. But Crook is a linebacker there, 6 foot, 220, 225 pounds. He visited Baylor for a camp back in 2019. Did not get an offer there. Actually, it took a while before he was able to land the Baylor offer. Concerns about his height were the main reason. And there still are some concerns about that by some of the programs in the country. But 25 offers. He's got the Baylor offer, of course, and Baylor's been on him for a while now. Ever since Dave Aranda got to Baylor, they have been recruiting him very, very hard and made him a priority. He had a big junior season at Duncanville and is a guy who I think would be a perfect fit in Dave Aranda's scheme. And he's getting close to making a decision, is what he told me. I think Baylor, Oklahoma State, Arkansas, Texas Tech are some of the schools that are really in contention for him. But I would call Baylor the leader right now. I think Baylor's got a great shot to land him. And that's kind of what I was mentioning. From Duncanville and land a guy from North Shore, you're doing pretty good because recruits are definitely going to take notice of that. Those are two powerhouse programs, and those are two guys that a lot of people know in those areas. So I think Crook would be a big-time pickup, and he's one that's definitely on the radar and one who could be making a decision soon, and one to definitely follow.
And then Grayson, with 2023, again, we always talk about how early it is to talk about a lot of that. I know we've mentioned a couple of the guys already. What is standing out to you right now that's big news that folks at home that are big Baylor fans need to know?
Yeah, I mean, it's just simply putting out offers. I think 2023 is kind of the area that Baylor is focusing on right now as far as just extending offers because they really caught up on that process with the 2022 class over the past few weeks. I mean, we've seen the Fridays where it just seems like they're putting out, 7, 8 offers every Friday to the 2022 class. I think that's starting to change. I think you'll obviously see 2022 offers go out, but until probably a month from now when that Under Armour camp is, I think Baylor's kind of waiting for the 14th of March because that's when it is so they can get some times and get some official heights and measurements. And so I think during this time, there's going to be a lot of 2023 offers that go out to guys that they're trying to catch up on and just feel like are offer worthy even without seeing testing times. They already did that with 2022. So now I expect them to do that with the 2023 class as well. And so that's pretty much the main thing standing out. I know Baylor is really, really trying to hone in on that March 14th date so they can get some of those official things sorted out. And then that will also help them put their big board together where they're able to say, okay, this guy runs a 4.4. Well, now he's shot up our recruitment board because we thought he was a 4.5 guy or a 4.6 guy. So a lot of that is going to happen within the next next month or so. So that's stuff to think about. The other thing that's kind of going on right now, and this really isn't even just the 2023 class, but it's the big vote that's coming tomorrow. And it's a big day for recruits all across the nation because it's going to decide whether the dead period is going to get extended again. Right now, it's supposed to last till April 15th. I believe the new proposed date would be May 31st. So really hoping that goes the way of the recruits this time. This dead period has lasted a really, really long time. And even if you can only have, 10 recruits on campus at a time or something along those lines, and the school can pay for, various ways to make sure that it's safe and make sure that everyone is able to socially distance. I just think they need to do it because it's so difficult for kids to make decisions right now as far as where they're going to go to school. And as a 17-year-old kid, if you're supposed to just make a decision off Zoom calls and things like that, it's so much tougher. And we mentioned it with the 2021 class, how tough it was. But a lot of those kids were able to take visits for junior days, or they were able to go see games during their junior season before things shut down. This class truly hasn't had that opportunity at all. They haven't been able to go to anything unless they went to something when they were a freshman in high school, basically. So really hoping that goes the way of the recruits this time, because I think that if it lasts much longer, then I don't know if there will, I don't know when they're going to be able to get visits back, and I don't know how this recruiting situation is going to look in the future.
Grayson Grundy for joining us right now on the Big Board segment that we do every Tuesday on Uptempo. Grayson, is there anything we're missing right now? Anything else that maybe we haven't touched on yet that you really see that stands out?
Nothing really. I think that big vote tomorrow is really the thing that I have my eye on. I mean, it's a huge decision. They voted, or they kind of gave the quote on the 4th when they had their first meeting, and now the one tomorrow is going to be the big one to make that decision. So the NCAA Oversight Committee is going to be up for a big vote, and we're going to see there's going to be a lot of upset people if it doesn't get overturned. You're going to see recruits all day kind of just tweeting, and it's just going to be a tough day if it does get extended longer.
All right. Well, Grayson, before we get you out of here, I wish we had Bear Games questions of the day today, but
no Bear Games?
No Bear Games day. We can't take callers. Stephen from Virginia called me on my hit up my cell earlier. I put it on speaker for a second. It was interesting, but yeah, we're trying to make it work a little bit different today, and things have just been weird. Obviously weird. So no Bear Games questions of the day today, but I don't know if you've looked at college basketball. Is there anything that you're looking forward to tonight? I know I'm putting you on the spot there.
Yeah, putting me on the spot a little bit. I will say I'm just curious about this Baylor basketball news. I'm just how much longer do we have? Just felt like it's been an eternity. So hopefully they'll get back and we'll be able to kind of get back to some normalcy with Baylor basketball, and that they can get things rolling. And also, I've been trying to figure out this Big 12 championship race for them, because if they don't get in because of this, or if they don't win it because of this, that would be just kind of heartbreaking of a season for them. So that's been my main takeaway. I haven't really looked at the schedule this week. Are there any good games that you've seen that you're really interested in?
I tell you, Grayson, tonight you've got, I say tonight, I keep saying tonight, it's at 3 o'clock today. You got Iowa State, and it's Iowa State playing Oklahoma State at 3 o'clock. No, yes, Iowa State's at Oklahoma State. That's at 3. That'll be okay, but for me, it's tomorrow. Texas, number 12, Texas, at number 9, Oklahoma. Both of those teams have been a little spotty lately. I'm not sure who wins that. It's tough to tell. They can both play really, really well. But it's going to come down to, it may come down to even the fact that the game is going to be in Norman. But both those teams healthy. I think I like Texas on the road tomorrow night. But it's just some good stuff to talk about in college basketball going on. And then hopefully the Lady Bears can keep rolling. I think they've got a legitimate shot to make a tournament run this year. And it stinks to see them at 10 in the Sweet 16 right now, bracketology, or in the top 16 bracketology. But you know what? I think it's just fuel for Kim Mulkey and company's fire.
Yeah, I think that has everything to do with just the conference. The Big 12 is really down in women's basketball right now. It's Baylor and then everyone else. So I get that. And honestly, I think this Baylor team, if they keep winning, they'll be a 2 seed, and they're going to be just fine. they'll be able to make a nice run in the tournament, I think. And if they can get momentum going, that's definitely the biggest part of it. Also wanted to mention, you talked about Oklahoma. Well, they got a huge win over the weekend that helped Baylor a lot.
Yep. All right. Well, I tell you what, we've got some makeshift breaks we put together here that have just really been. Telling you what, Grayson, it has been a day today. But we're going to hit what we got, and then when we come back, Andrew Robertson joins us to do the SicEm Pick'em today and break down some of the games in college basketball, the slate that we got. Grayson Gruendaver for the big board. Thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks, Drake.
Always great to have you, Grayson. Again, that was Grayson Gruendaver of SicEm365 joining us to talk recruiting today. When we come back, Andrew Robertson joins us to talk SicEm Pick'em. I'm Drake Toll. Andrew Robertson's coming up. This is Up Tempo.
Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult times. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your home for holiday favorites for parties and the time with family. Various specials available in-store and online. A variety of steak gift boxes with 4 ribeyes for $70, 4 bacon wrap fillets for $55, or 4 New York strips for $50, and all come with steak butter. Fall snack box for watching a game or wrapping presents or hosting people at your house, including summer sausage, split horn, and jalapeno cheese and salted crackers for only $35. 2 pieces of lobster tails with herb butter and 2 bacon wrap fillets for $60. Order online or call in advance to ensure availability, or drop by Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive. Waco Custom Marketplace has a full-service butcher shop for customized orders or cuts of your favorite steaks or beef tenderloin or specially ordered prime rib roast. Plus, what you want with pork, poultry, seafood, and more. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
All right, rolling back in here. How about it? Up Tempo, SicEm365 Radio. I'm Drake Toll. Andrew Robertson joins us today to do the SicEm Pick'em, breaking down the last segment of our show today. Oh, Andrew, it has been a day.
It has definitely been a day. It is it's a cold one, but you seem warm with the fire, so that's nice.
I am warm with the fire. The thermostat's turned down, just trying to save some lives out there and keep people with power. But you know what? It's warm in the room. We've kept this thing. I got some blackout curtains. I don't know if that does anything, but I think it's keeping things warm. We're warm to an extent. But today's SicEm Pick'em. All right, this past weekend, I could have done a lot better. I had some picks that went well, but the parlays just weren't hitting for the Monopoly money. And tonight I'm gonna need to make a little bit up, and you're gonna have to help me do it. What are we looking at?
Well, I got some stats, which I rarely have good stats, but today I have a little bit. So the first game that catches my eye is Florida-Arkansas. So Arkansas number 24, Florida. I'm really not interested in the spread on this one. I'm more interested in the over because Florida, in their last 7 away games, the over has hit 7 times. So 7 for 7 in their last 7 away games. So that's a trend. If you also want to go on this game for more stats, Arkansas is 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games. So, take that and do what you may. But I'm going to take the over in that one because Florida is just scoring points away.
What if I told you, Andrew, that Arkansas at home in their last 2 games has not hit a combined 151? They actually haven't come close.
Interesting. I don't see, these stats might be a little bit subjective. I kind of get these stats from a couple websites that I'm scouring, and I see them and I kind of just put them at the game.
So weird for me with the Florida, because we mentioned how Florida they love to score on the road. I like Arkansas on a money line tonight. I really do, but I think plus 4.5 Florida is fine. I think, but if I had to go with the spread, but Arkansas on a money line tonight. The over/under is tough for me. 151 is a lot of points, and Arkansas has tried to slow things down a little bit more at home, it seems. So I'm not sure exactly what that'll look like, but looking across their last couple of home games, they've been lower scoring. Even Auburn, they're 148 combined against Auburn at home, and that's a team that likes to score a lot of points. So Arkansas is slowing things down at home lately, but Florida, like you said, their pace of play and their scoring on the road is really high. So maybe the over hits there, but I like Arkansas money line no matter what.
I forgot that you're an Arkansas native, so you would know more about this than me. This is like your game.
It is my game tonight. I'm going to have the Hogs put up there and singing the fight song like we did the other day. So after Arkansas, Florida, what else do you like? There's just a couple more top 25 matchups going on tonight.
Yeah, there's not a lot of matchups that you see and you're like, wow, I want to watch that one. But you got number 5 Illinois, who has made a bit of a resurgence, and they're minus 13. I don't know if that number's a little too big. But I think Illinois might cover that. Northwestern's not great. They're 3-11 in the Big Ten, and they haven't been playing well. Illinois is hot. I remember they dropped in the polls pretty significantly, and they've had to climb their way back up to 5. So I think they're on a bit of a hot streak as of late. And Northwestern is just not good. They're 13th in the Big Ten. So if I had to take something in that game, I'd probably just take that pretty big spread.
I like it too. I think Illinois covers 13 tonight. I've been high on Illinois. They've won 5 straight recently. Like you said, they climbed their way back in the rankings up to number 5 again. 10-3 in the Big Ten, 14-5 overall. They play well at home in Champaign State Farm Center. I like Illinois at home minus 13. What else you got?
Well, then we have to venture over to the Big 12. We got a little afternoon delight here at I believe 3 p.m. So we got Oklahoma State, Iowa State. I think Oklahoma. It's crazy that they're not ranked in my eyes, but they haven't been playing especially hot as of recently. I think that Iowa State is very bad, but it's kind of a tough game to call because they only beat Kansas State by 7. They lost to Kansas. I do think that this seems like a must-win game for them if they're trying to get into that top 25 ranking. They're also right on the cusp to get into the tournament. So if they've really got to take care of Iowa State. I'm trying to figure out, this game is in Stillwater too. The line's minus 11. I think this could be a parlay game, make it a little parlay money line Oklahoma State here. But I'm curious on your thoughts.
I like the money line minus 11 is tough. I think that what I'll do on this one, I'm assuming it'll be Oklahoma State minus 6 at the half.
Yeah.
I like first half Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's a great first half team. That's really where they make do. and where they have played well this season for the most part, especially in games they win. I expect them to win this. Look at the Kansas game. They lost to Kansas. They were up, or they were down 3. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. But I like Oklahoma State, say -6. I haven't seen what the line is first half, but I like first half on Oklahoma State. And then the over-under in this one at 147.5. I am hammering. Hammering the under tonight.
Oh, wow. Wow. So you got to. Why is that? You got to get me confident about the under. Maybe I'll take the under.
At home against Kansas State. I think Kansas State and Iowa State are very comparable. That final score 67-60. Oklahoma State at home against Texas. Double overtime. It was double overtime.
Yeah.
75-67 was the final score on that one. Those are the most recent games they played in February at home. I think that is a large – that over-under is insane.
Yeah.
Iowa State, 64-50. On the road, they let up a lot of points to Kansas, but I don't think Oklahoma's going to score like that. I don't know. Yeah, Iowa State does let up a lot of points, so I guess it makes sense. But Oklahoma State, I think they're going to try to control pace at home and slow this game down. I like the under right there. I really want to hammer the under on that one.
Yeah, I mean, you got me a little riled up. I'm going to take the under myself. 147 is high when you compare that to their recent home stints. So, yeah, I think that number is a little high. That's concerning.
You know what I do like, though? I like Missouri. Missouri at Georgia. Missouri -3 is really tough for me. I think Georgia wins this on a money line tonight. I do. I like Georgia. I think they're comparable to Ole Miss that Missouri lost to by 20 on the road. That said, I'm not confident enough to take it, but I am confident enough to hammer the over. 152.5 is a large number, but neither of these teams will play a lick of defense tonight.
Yeah, the SEC is a scorer's league. I mean, Georgia's coming off a game where they lost by allowing 115 points to Alabama. That's one of the largest totals I've seen this season. I'm trying to figure out if that game must have went to overtime. Nope. I mean, it was 115-82, so I should have known that. But I mean, how do you let up 115? So Georgia doesn't play a lot of defense. And what's the over/under? He said 150. So that could hit in the first quarter by that. I mean, geez Louise, how do you let up 115 points? Wow, I'm still stunned by that. So you're taking the over. We're taking overs, taking unders. We're a totals radio show today.
Yeah, we are. Nebraska, Maryland at Maryland. I like Maryland -10. Nebraska's not very good at basketball. They did win their last game against Penn State. They took Illinois to overtime at home, but on the road, they've been pretty dismal against teams that are remotely good, and Maryland is better than remotely good. They're pretty solid at home.
Yeah.
Their last 2 home losses came against Ohio State, who's really good at basketball right now, Wisconsin, who was hot in late January. They beat Purdue at home. They smacked Minnesota at home. Minnesota is exponentially better than Nebraska, too. I love Maryland -10 tonight.
Ooh, Maryland. That spread might be a little big for me. I don't know. -10. This is a Nebraska team that only lost to Illinois by 5. They beat Penn State. I don't know if I'd take the 10 here. I definitely think about throwing Maryland in a moneyline parlay. I'm not sure if I'd take 10. That seems like a lot for a Maryland team that I really haven't seen a whole lot this year.
Outside of that, though, one of my locks tonight, Austin Peay is on the road against Southeast Missouri State. I love Austin Peay -6.5.
Yeah, I knew we talked about the big games a little too much. I knew we were going to venture into the mid-majors soon. Your pick was Austin Peay -6?
-6.5, yeah, for sure.
6.5. Okay, yeah. Convince me. I want to take this. Make me take this.
I like Austin Peay at 6.5. I think that's actually a pretty low line for them at a Southeast Missouri State team that's not very good at basketball. Southeast Missouri State's lost 4 out of the last 5. They lost 3 straight. In those 3 losses at Austin Peay, they just lost at Austin Peay by 15. Now they're playing them again. Maybe they'll keep it a little bit closer than 15, but I think 6.5 is just a little bit too low. And I like Austin Peay winning this game by 10, 12 points. They lost by 20 at Murray. Their last home game, they lost by 11 to Jacksonville State, who's not spectacular. So I really do. I think that my lock of the day is Austin Peay.
Yeah, looking at the recent games from Southeast Missouri here, they have not kept any of these games close, not close enough to indicate a 6.5 point spread. 15, 20, 12. They won a game somehow, and then they lost by 17. So if they're losing by more than 6.5. So if you have faith in Austin Peay, then that sounds like a pretty good lock.
We want to talk some upsets tonight. I'm not sure it's perplexing to me why this game is the way that it is almost. Dayton and Rhode Island. I like Dayton a lot as a 3-point dog on the road from money line at Rhode Island. If you look at their last couple of games, Rhode Island's lost 4 straight now, 2 of which have been at home. UMass, they lost to VCU at home. Dayton lost to VCU at home. I guess I'm just now seeing that. But I like Dayton right now, what they're putting together. It's their first game in a week, really the first game of the week for both of these teams. But I'm really confident that Dayton gets a road win tonight. They're not great by any means, but I like the Flyers in this one.
Yeah, this is a weird game for me. This might be the one that sticks out because I see that Rhode Island lost to Dayton by 11 less than 3 weeks ago. So I don't know how much has changed since then. Yeah, it's weird that they're receiving points. They're 11-6 compared to a 9-12.
Oh.
Yeah, I definitely think this is an upset alert. Maybe sprinkle money line Dayton.
I love St. John's money line tonight at home against Xavier. Xavier's only played 1 game coming off a COVID break, and they lost that game by 8 at home to UConn. Tonight they're on the road. St. John's has lost 1 in the last 7. I like St. John's tonight.
Yeah, from the recent SicEm Pick'ems, you love St. John's. You took them against Villanova in that infamous game that won. St. John's is hot. They have won 4 of the last 5, only losing to Butler in overtime. Xavier's not a bad team, but I think if I had to choose it's basically a pick'em. It's -1.5. I think I'm taking St. John's here. And honestly, this might be one of the best games of the day, just in scopes of how evenly matched their competition is.
All right, Andrew, you want to play a little celebrity birthdays today? We don't have Armstrong today, just because today has been so wacky and weird. So you have volunteered as tribute now to play celebrity birthdays.
I'm in. I mean, I might be way off on some of these guys, but I'm in.
All right, celebrity birthdays number 1 today, The Weeknd. Coming off a Super Bowl performance, it's The Weeknd's birthday.
I know him, so that's a huge start. I'm going to go with, I feel like he's a little older. I'm going to say 29.
He's 31 today. The Weeknd turns 31 years old today. How about Denzel Curry? Remember that guy that made that one rap song? That was Denzel Curry.
I actually do remember that one guy who made that one rap song. I kind of want to go older here. I'm going to go like 34.
Denzel Curry's 26, and he's the new candidate. What is that? I am the one. What
That's
song?
Denzel Curry?
That's Denzel Curry. That's Denzel Curry.
Huh.
Yeah.
I am the one. Yeah, I don't know, man. We're not rap experts, us two.
This is a good point. Ice-T. Ice-T's birthday is today. The guy from he's from Law and Order, Ice-T, and other stuff, obviously.
Obviously, I know him from a Rick and Morty episode. Is that same Ice-T? Yeah,
Ice-T. Yes,
Ice-T. Of course. I don't know. I'm 49.
63, which is it's way older than I thought Ice-T was going to be. Wow, I didn't. Ice-T is 63 today. Morgan Frank, sister of Anne Frank. Margot Frank.
Margot Frank.
How old would she have been today?
Okay. That was my first question. Is she still alive? Okay. Probably not. I mean, a little bit of math here would say she's probably like 90-ish. So I'm going to go like 98, 95.
95. Oh, 95. Well done. I don't have my tail. That was good. 95. Kim Jong-il would have been how old today?
Oh, rest in peace. I can't say I know a ton about North Korea.
Right.
So hand up. I don't know a ton about not a politics guy. I'm going to go probably in his 44, 45.
Kim Jong-il would have been 80 years old today. Kim Jong-il.
See, that one hurts. See, people are going to make fun of me for that one.
Would have been a big birthday today for that guy. Would have been a big 80. All right. How about it's this day in sports history. I'm going through a couple of these. I struggle with these because there's so many obscure ones. How about U.S. Female Figure Skating Championship won by Tanya Harding?
Oh, Tanya Harding. Okay, I know that because she got hit with a skate, right?
Yeah, sure, kind of.
Yeah, something like. Okay, we'll have to review that. Regardless, I mean she's oldish. I'm gonna say. Oh, it's an age. When was this?
What year?
I'm gonna go 88.
91. Close though.
Hey, we're getting close.
This year, O.J. Simpson's 1968 Heisman Trophy is sold for $230,000 to help settle a $33.5 million civil judgment against him for the death of his ex-wife and her friend.
So this is not when he won the trophy, but when he sold the trophy.
When he sold the trophy to get out of debt.
Right. Okay. So O.J. trial. I'm gonna go like 06.
99. Did it?
Yeah.
Sold in 99.
Yeah.
You know what year he won the Heisman Trophy? This is a crazy guess.
O.J. Simpson. I mean, he's kind of he's a little before my time. I'm in the 60s or 70s. No, not that far back. I don't know.
68.
Oh, I think you just said it. 68.
Yeah.
He feels younger than that. No.
Yeah, no, OJ's pretty old, I guess. He's got Twitter, but yep. All right,
Twitter.
We did it. Let's go.
We did it.
Up-tempo remote today. Fire in the background. What a show it was. We had Cameron Madrid on, who was viral on Barstool the other day. I know you saw that.
Oh, yeah.
Man, Grayson Grundaver joined us. Morgan Uber, JD, and Armstrong on the top of the show, and then Andrew Robertson. Andrew, let's go.
We did it, man. Yeah, up-tempo.
Enjoy the rest of your snow day. I'm Drake Toll. That's Andrew Robertson. Armstrong's playing us out with the music. Thank you guys for joining us today. We'll be back to do it all again tomorrow. This